Okay, alright. Wow, my streaming software was really bugging out. So, sorry for the few seconds of black right there. Did not take me to the main control panel of the streaming software once I went live. Oh, I will have to blow up the headquarters of Streamlabs OBS HQ for this insolence. Anyway, I should probably send out the reminders on my social media. Alright, Instagram taken care of, and Twitter. There we go. Alright, those are all taken care of. And we're ready to go. It's been a while. It has been quite some time since I've had a chat stream. Hopefully I'm not too rusty. Oh, I probably am. Okay, I feel like maybe I'm peaking. Okay, let's lower the volume a little bit. Alright, okay, that should be a good range, I think. Hopefully it's a good range. Okay, I might need to raise the volume. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully not, though. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and welcome to Dr. Wolfula After Dark, my late night talk show where I chat about upcoming horror movies and answer your questions. Man, Okay, let's do a redo. I don't usually do these, but I've totally fucked it up. Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and welcome to Dr. Wolfula After Dark. Oh, I'm really just totally fucking up the intros. It really has been a while. Anyway, it's my late night talk show where I chat about upcoming horror movies and answer your questions. Okay, not the best intro. I'll work on it. I always kind of fuck up when I go live. I just get those live stream jitters, but eventually I get used to it, and I'm able to get back into the swing of things. But first, we gotta talk about the news happening in the world of horror, beginning with our featured topic. The upcoming Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie, Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey, which surprisingly is coming out to theaters on February 15th this year. I wasn't seeing that coming, especially after Valentine's Day. Imagine that as like a Valentine weekend horror movie you watch with your girlfriend. Hey girl, you want to watch the new Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie? You want to watch Winnie-the-Pooh crush people's skulls open with sledgehammers? That seems kind of romantic. I don't know, I feel like maybe if you take your girlfriend to this movie, a Valentine's Day weekend, you might get laid. You never know. I mean, I guess there's worse movies you could watch with your girlfriend before hopefully getting laid. Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie is a nice roll of the dice, but yeah, I honestly thought this was going direct to video. I'm not a big fan of it going to theaters just because this doesn't feel like a movie that's worth, like, seeing on a gigantic screen. Feels like a waste. And also, it being streaming makes it a little more convenient to have more of a comprehensive review. So yeah, the clips not being available from the movie right away, it always makes the reviews a little bit more of a pain in the ass. If I had known Megan was gonna go straight to streaming, like after like a couple weeks, I probably would have waited to review that just to have more readily accessible clips. But anyway, there was a trailer for this movie that released a few months ago that I didn't even see, so I guess now we should just watch it together, and I'll give my thoughts about it. Because this movie actually looks a little bit more promising than what I expected. Premier Entertainment. You always know you're in for a treat when you see Premier Entertainment as one of the logos. Now, this is a key thing every horror movie needs to have. I'm just going to point this out. You need a descending shot of spooky woods, and then a car driving down a spooky road. That's how you know you're entering dangerous territory. That's how you start your horror trailers. It's definitely not a cliche. It's a key ingredient every horror trailer needs.
Why am I so special?
Because soon we'll be Christopher and Mary Robin.
So yeah, this is the backstory of the movie. Christopher Robin is getting married, and he's bringing his fiance to the 100-acre wood so they can, fucking in the 100-acre wood. I don't know. So he can show her his, childhood friends after all these years. He hasn't seen Winnie-the-Pooh and his friends, I guess just Piglet and Eeyore in so many years. He's gonna finally revisit these pals.
We will.
The 100-acre wood is surprisingly fucking creepy, though. And I love that little sign, 100-acre wood. Hasn't been touched at all. Super crude. Written in blood. I guess I'm assuming Christopher Robin wrote the sign in blood himself. And I love that little sign right there that says, "Rest in peace, Eeyore." So yeah, part of the oh yeah, you have to have a spooky close-up. Part of the backstory of this movie is essentially Christopher Robin exiled Winnie the Pooh and his friends to the 100-Acre Wood. They haven't seen each other since. And supposedly, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet descended into cannibalism together. And they fucking killed Eeyore. The weird thing is that Eeyore has like a human skull above his grave. Above his cardboard grave. It looks like shit. I guess it implies that maybe the creatures in the 100-Acre Wood are like human-like. They have like maybe human-like skeletons underneath their animal, furry fucking guises. I guess we'll find out, but it's a little weird because I thought Eeyore was like a donkey, horse, whatever the fuck. Yeah, I don't expect him to have a human skull, but
We need to leave. Now.
I really need to find out what's happened there, okay?
I need to find out what happened in the 100-Acre Wood. So yeah, this is clearly like the, what's it called? This is clearly like the cold open of this movie. I don't think this is going to be much of the plot. Essentially, Christopher Robin is revisiting this place. He's like, oh man, where's Winnie the Pooh? Oh, he fucking killed my fiance. I'm sure she was very happy to meet Pooh Bear. I'm sure it was just a very charming meeting. Just getting her hit crushed. Not many people can, like, claim to have their hit crushed by Winnie the Pooh, though, so, you know, that's pretty amazing. Now, I guess these are just, like, unrelated British fucking, British college students or whatever that are hanging out in a random fucking, cabin nearby the 100-Acre Wood. I don't know why. What I'm wondering is, like, there's not really much connective tissue. I'm kind of wondering if, like, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet just kind of arbitrarily just leave the 100-Acre Wood. Like, they could have left this whole time instead of being cannibals. Maybe, you know, become domesticated or something. But instead, I guess they just waited until Christopher Robin came back. And now they're just like, okay, let's continue our lust for blood and kill some of these bitches. Some of these hot bitches hanging out in hot tubs. I don't know why Winnie the Pooh has, like, a chloroform rag. I kind of wonder who's, like, teaching Winnie the Pooh to be, like, this violent, horrible torturer. Like, who's, like, how do you teach, like, how do you learn that? How do you learn, like, okay, this chloroform-soaked rag will allow me to abduct this woman and eventually run her over later.
There's someone else outside.
Oh, no. There's lumberjacks outside. Oh, dear God. I guess it's, like, near Christmas time, or it's one of those fucking places that puts up, like, fucking Christmas lights up all year long. Oh, man, it's so spooky. Honestly, this looks like a shot from, like, a live-action version of Scooby-Doo. All right.
What was that?
Oh, man. Okay, why did Pooh Bear need to go into the pool with her and chase her with, like, a sledgehammer? Couldn't he just, like, I don't know, like, I guess he needs to, like, probably just pull her out, but whatever.
To be friends, why are you doing this?
So, something I'm kind of wondering if the Christopher Robin in this movie is based on the real-life Christopher Robin who became, like, a total drunk, like a total fucking just kind of depressing person. Because he's kind of slurring a lot. Earlier in the trailer, he's talking and he's, like, slurring his words. He sounds like a total drunk. It could just be the actor was just, like, drunk and showed up on the set, like, just, oh, man, I've been cast in the Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie. This is what my career got me. I was hoping to be, like, in an episode of Doctor Who or something, but I guess this is what I get.
I would have never left, I swear, I swear.
But honestly, it looks a little bit more legit based on, like, this montage of things than what I initially assumed. A lot of stuff is very cheap about it, very inherently cheap, but it looks a little better than it seemed. It's still kind of... releasing this in theaters. Like, I don't know about this. I didn't even know about this logo. I don't know what they're thinking with this logo. Honestly, it's supposed to be like honey, but it looks more like piss. But yeah, that was the trailer for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and my very frequent pausing just to you know, chat over it. Just give my thoughts. Definitely a lot to unpack with just this trailer. I'm interested in checking it out. I'm not so sure about the design of Winnie the Pooh now that we've gotten a better look at him. Because honestly, just this shot alone, it looks like when your girlfriend is on her period and she tries to warn you before you go down on her, and it's too late, and you pull your head up, and it looks like that. I don't know. It's a little, I don't know. It's a little iffy of a shot, but I'm not so sure about the actual design either, because honestly, it doesn't really look like Winnie the Pooh, even in a literary sense. It definitely doesn't really look that much like the Disney version, but it also doesn't really look like the original book version, the Milne version that it's legally riffing on. Kind of just looks like if Shrek wore a lumberjack costume and his skin was yellow instead of green and he had shorter ears. But it basically just looks like Shrek. I don't really know what they're thinking with this design. Doesn't really look scary. And it feels like, I don't know, I guess they're kind of, I don't know, they haven't shown it much, but it seems like it's not really an articulated face, so it seems like it's just gonna be like a mask or something, like, I don't know. I'm hoping there's, like, it moves and stuff, and it's not just, like, treated as just a guy in a mask. I'm hoping there's a little bit more to it than just that. But yeah, I realize now that Christopher Robin movie Disney released a couple years ago, I think 2019, a few years ago now, I realized they probably released that just to get a head start on the competition that we're all going to be, like, racing to make their own live-action Winnie-the-Pooh movies. So Disney could be like, well, here's our version, and this is going to be much more readily accepted by the general population because it's got, like, you know, the designs you expect from our Disney version and the voices and shit. It's much more official. So any live-action Winnie-the-Pooh thing that emerges will pale in comparison to our version. But then I guess they just didn't anticipate there'd be a fucking horror Winnie-the-Pooh movie. Kind of really sets itself apart from any possible other like children's version that could like possibly emerge. So Disney's definitely not gonna like be even worried about this Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie though, because their approach is just to kind of ignore stuff that's legal. Because if they, like, make a big deal out of this kind of shit, out of, like, a Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie, then that just gets it more publicity and more people talking about it. So, yeah, we probably won't hear anything about Disney, like, you know, issuing lawsuits about this Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie, because it's legal, you know? They could, like, get kind of finicky and be like, well, he wears, like, a red shirt, and, our Winnie-the-Pooh wears a red shirt. That's not in the book, so, like, they could, you know, potentially do that. It'd be a waste of time, but I don't think they're gonna do anything like that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey so far. I will maybe see it in theaters. I guess I have to if I want to review it right away, so I'll try to keep an eye out. It seems like it's going to be a Fathom Events thing, so you're only going to be able to see it, I believe, in Cinemark theaters. Always annoying when a movie not only like a movie like this goes to theaters exclusively. Like a movie like this that usually should just go to direct-to-video. It sucks also when it's like an exclusive chain. Like I wish it was like going to AMC because that's the closest theater to me. It's always more of a trek to go to like Cinemark or I don't even know the other one. The other one that the fucking Grinch horror movie went to, that one was a pain in the ass. That one sucked. I don't like that mean one. Grinch horror movie still hasn't come out like on video on demand. It seems like it's so fucking bullshit. I really wanted to review that, but I couldn't see it. But anyway, let's move on now to Scream 6, the other featured topic of conversation tonight. But I guess the key thing I need to point out. Last time I did one of these streams, Scream 6 didn't really have a title yet. I honestly thought it was going to be Scream 2 with like stylized Roman numeral, double exclamation mark fucking thing. I thought that's what they were going to do, but they did go with Roman numerals, but they surprisingly went with Roman numeral 6, which is bringing back the actual fucking, you know, numbering style we're used to, but it does kind of make Scream 5 a little, fucking annoying, where you go from Scream 4 to Scream, and then Scream 6. I'm hoping they retroactively retitle Scream 5. Like, I'm hoping any future home video releases after, like, the, you know, current run, especially like a box set, they just call it Scream 5. They ditch just the regular Scream title. I'm hoping, because that's so much better. But yeah, I'm glad they, you know, came to their senses and went with Scream 6 and, you know, did the stylized 6 inside the M thing, because they're basically making amends for the missed opportunity of Five Cream. You know, Five Cream was... the fact that they didn't go with Five Cream still haunts me to this day. It's so bullshit. Now, I'm not going to be actually watching the trailer. We're going to just kind of go through basic points I wanted to point out with the trailer. You know, the key thing I wanted to point out was the mask itself used in this movie. You know, on first glance, it seems like they are just riffing on essentially the Halloween trilogy Michael Myers mask, the worn down face. But I think what they're doing, I think they're going beyond just Ghostface wears like a worn down mask like Michael Myers, and going a little further into this might be the mask that Billy and Stu wore in the original movie. Like, it seems like, you know, well, I'll get into it a little later. It seems like the trailer very heavily implies that this Ghostface seems to have access to just a plethora of fucking Ghostface memorabilia that have been used in the past films. And I'm interested in seeing how that is explored. I'm hoping that this is really just the actual original mask. That'd be a cool thing, because it's like, what happens to those old Ghostface costumes? The other key thing, the controversial thing about the Ghostface that's been confirmed by this new trailer, is he uses a gun. Which, you know, people take this a little too seriously, because of course Ghostface uses a gun. He uses a gun in every movie. He just uses guns, you know, when he's not in the fucking goofy costume, but he always uses a gun. So, you know, to me it makes total sense that out of all the Ghostfaces, eventually one of them would be like, fuck it, I'll just use a gun. It's right there. It'll make this situation so much easier. You know, it makes sense to me, especially like in a situation where like a guy with a gun is pointing a gun at me and I just got like a knife. Of course I'm gonna want a fucking gun in that situation. I'm gonna want to take that guy's gun. So, you know, it makes sense to me. I'm fine with it. I'm glad that they're finally breaking the rule of Ghostface only uses a gun when he's outside a costume. I'm totally fine with that. Now, something that is only kind of implied in the trailer is that they're going to go more into the Billy Loomis aspect of Sam's character. It's kind of vague how they're going to handle it in the movie. She's going into therapy, but it's clear that, you know, they don't really want to show this stuff explicitly because they want people to see that last Scream movie and catch up, and it would be fucking really difficult. And a big spoiler for that last movie to just suddenly be like, yeah, there's like, she sees Billy Loomis. I'm kind of wondering how it's handled in this movie going forward, because it was a little, I don't know, goofy. I'm hoping it's like not as explicit. I'm hoping it's just like, I don't know, something that's not so Star Wars, where it's like she's seeing Billy Loomis's Force Ghost or something, because that was just, I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm not so into the idea, but at least it's like something different. They're trying something new that they haven't done that kind of mixes things up, but it's still a little, I don't know. I just don't know about that aspect of the last movie, but I'm hoping it's like, you know, elaborated upon more. And I don't, because to me, so far, it just seems like the fucking white horse from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where Laurie, for some reason, can see the same white horse Michael sees, like the same weird ghost shit. To me, it doesn't make sense. It's even iffier in Scream, so I'm hoping they make it work a little bit better. Now, of course, this Ghostface is much more aggressive, as we've seen in the trailer. They're saying he's different from all the Ghostfaces before. It's shown that he just fucking knocks on the door. He arrives to his victim's house like he's not subtle at all, like it's broad daylight. This is like a much more confident Ghostface. I'm hoping this is like a Ghostface that doesn't even have like any of the apparent weaknesses other Ghostfaces have shown, like the fucking tripping around, like he's like just a totally competent Ghostface that can't be like an actual, like, maybe, like, honestly, because before Ghostfaces were always shown as kind of ordinary people, seemingly. Like, they take off the mask and it's like a middle-aged woman, or it's just like an ordinary fucking teenage boy, like, nobody that's really physically imposing. It would be interesting if this was like actually, I mean, it would be a little, I don't know, it'd be a little obvious, I suppose, but it would be interesting if it was just a guy who's just like really physically capable, like just a real physical threat inside and outside the costume. I don't know, it'd be a nice change of pace. Now, the other thing that they show in the trailer is a whole bunch, like basically a shrine is what they call it in the trailer, and I like the idea that this Ghostface isn't even just like, it's not even just like a revenge thing with this Ghostface, at least how they're presenting it. It's like, he's like a religious fanatic about Ghostface and the mythology surrounding Ghostface. He's like super into the history of these serial killings, and he's really plugged in. It's not just like a personal vendetta thing or like a fucking nerd who's into fucking horror movies and stab movies. He's like a guy who's just super obsessed with it and trying to be the best version of the Ghostface, learning from all the mistakes. I'm hoping that's what they're going with. I'm hoping, I don't know, I'm hoping it's just like a guy who's trying to be the alpha Ghostface. And that might be something they're trying to explore with Sam's character, like her fucking ghost Billy is trying to make her like the ultimate Ghostface, like, or something. I mean, it's possible Sam is just the Ghostface the whole time, though. I guess we'll see. Be an interesting thing if she's like moonlighting as just her regular victim self, and maybe like teaming up unwittingly, like maybe split personalities with somebody else, like who's like, because it's clear that there's probably, because you know, nearly every Scream movie has multiple Ghostfaces, and that's another thing I'd like to see is, you know, the multiple Ghostface thing is kind of something that's in the background. It's kind of this passive thing where you have one Ghostface. Oh shit, I knocked my mic. Okay, you have one Ghostface, and you know, you have the other guy who's like fucking Clark Kent or whatever. Like, you have the other guy who's just like in his like regular identity. He could just like pop in and just mislead people. It'd be interesting if you just had two Ghostfaces at once, where it isn't even just like, okay, you know, these two guys take turns being Ghostface, where it is just like two guys, like you just have multiple Ghostfaces at once. I'm interested in that idea where it's just like you have to fucking run away from like a whole bunch of guys. Like, it would just be an interesting change of pace where it isn't even just one killer at a time. You just have to deal with a whole bunch at once, like in the costume and everything. I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing that happen. I'm also interested in seeing Gale finally get killed. It seems like, I don't know. It seems like they haven't really shown a whole lot of Gale in the material. They show like one scene of her, like, I don't know, like meeting with Sam, like in like a behind the scenes photo, and like this scene where she's getting attacked. I'm not sure where else she could be in the movie. I feel like she's probably gonna get killed, and you know, it's her time. I want her to get fucking killed already. I'm ready to see that. I feel like if you're gonna be bringing these characters back, either you have like something really interesting to do with them, which I kind of doubt. I feel like they've kind of, you know, fully gone everywhere they need to go. Or alternatively, you fucking finally kill them. So I'm hoping they just fucking kill Gale already, because she's been around since the beginning. And if she's getting brought back, I don't think it's going to have any new territory to explore. So I'm looking forward to getting her killed. And, you know, it raises the stakes. You know, another legacy character is killed. That is cheap, though. So I'm hoping it's done in a way that's a little bit better than how Dewey got taken out in Scream 5. I'm hoping it's a little bit more earned, where it really feels like she fucking gave it her all and she still died. Like, this fucking Ghostface veteran still got killed. Like, I'm hoping it's not just, wow, she just went out like it was nothing. Like, damn, like, that was it? Like, I'm hoping it's like, holy shit, all that and she still went down. I'm hoping it's how it's handled. But yeah, I feel like, you know, if you're bringing her back at this point, you finally have to kill her. But anyway, those were all my thoughts on Scream 6 so far. I'm looking forward to the film. I know a lot of people, you know, the last one was pretty divisive, and a lot of people are kind of iffy about this new one. But I'm looking forward to, you know, the concepts that the trailer shows off. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I'm hoping they really, I don't know, they really finally break the rules this time, like the original movie did. Like, just finally break the rules. Like, you know, that's the key thing about the Scream franchise. It's about setting up the rules, making the rules clear about how horror movies work, and then finally breaking them, finally breaking from them, and doing something that's unexpected. That's what the original Scream did. But the sequels, unfortunately, follow Scream's fucking, you know, model exactly. And I'm hoping they don't quite, they finally, you know, break from the very strict fucking, I mean, bare minimum, I'm hoping they don't do the fucking thing that they do at the, I'm hoping they don't do the fucking thing that they do at the end of every Scream movie, where the killers do like a James Bond monologue, where they're like, oh, they're out of costume, and they have the characters at gunpoint, and they're like, you'll never beat us. And they always get beaten. I don't know what they expect. It's just so fucking repetitive at this point. I hate it. Anyway, let's move on from Scream 6 and discuss briefly Evil Dead Rise, releasing on April 21st, 2023. Thankfully, it's coming to theaters as well. The next 3 months are really packed with, like, some big horror movies coming to theaters. And I'm glad this movie's coming to theaters, because originally it was slated for HBO Max. And to me, if it was going to come out in HBO Max, at this point it was probably going to end up canceled. It's going to end up shelved, and, like, HBO Max would just do, like, a tax write-off. So I'm glad it's coming to theaters. It's not going to just be, like, stuck on this fucking streaming service. Well, then again, HBO Max, at the very least, they do have a decent track record of actually releasing their movies later on home video, but I don't know. They even though I didn't like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that came out last year on Netflix, I still would have liked to have a physical copy, an official one. I know you could get bootlegs of it, but the fact that Netflix just doesn't release anything physically unless it's like a special Criterion version or something, like something that brings prestige to their brand, it sucks. Like, it totally sucks that, like, shit is just held hostage on their platform. So I'm glad this is coming out in theaters, because that means it's also going to come out in home video. Unless HBO Max is just like, no, we're not going to do that. Anyway, I want to talk mainly about just, like, the nerdy details of the trailer, the stuff that's shown. First things first, the Necronomicon in this movie. Now, honestly, I'm a little disappointed by the design so far. I'm hoping it kind of evolves over the course of the film, because so far what we see here is kind of a little mundane. It just looks kind of like a veiny book made out of leather, kind of just like a leather book that's just a little veiny, not very spooky. They do show it has, like, teeth on the side, but that kind of just looks like a Harry Potter fucking thing. So I'm hoping it's like it evolves into something increasingly monstrous over the course of the film, because I'm not super into the design, because, 2013 movie looked pretty cool because it had, like, the Tim Burton stitched up look to it, and, of course, the classic films and the TV show had, like, the face and everything. I'm hoping there's a little bit more. I'm hoping they kind of flip it over and there is actually a face. They're just not showing the face yet. Like, they're showing the back. I'm hoping that's just the back. I'm hoping it's got, like, a cool cover. God, I'm hoping. I mean, I guess if the pages side, I don't know what you really call that part, the side that shows, like, the pages has, like, teeth. I'm guessing that means maybe there's, like, I don't know. I guess that means maybe there's, like, maybe some eyes that pop out, and it looks more like, I don't know, like some kind of creature-esque thing, and it's not like a face on the cover. I'm hoping, though, they don't do that, though, because it really just comes off a little too Harry Potter-ish. Something I'm also hoping they don't do is they don't fucking rehash the Nobi tapes thing that all the Evil Dead stuff does. Like, they have a character that finds the tape, and that's how the fucking evil gets unleashed. I feel like they didn't do that in the, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a little tired of it. I was feeling like maybe like the fucking nerdy guy in the 2013 movie translated the pages. I'm hoping it's just a little bit more interesting of an introduction. It seems like maybe there's a history of this Necronomicon within the family. It seems like, I don't know, the central mother character who I'm talking about right now, it seems like there's some kind of backstory where we see some flashbacks that they might go into. Like, this is kind of maybe something that's buried within her that kind of got just kind of got set aside, like, somehow. But it seems like there's some kind of encounter early in the movie with younger versions of the character at a secluded cabin, so it looks like it has cabins. But the interesting thing about this character that I'm really looking forward to is just the fact that it's basically Henrietta from Evil Dead 2. It's like a deadite mother on the loose, but for the whole movie, where it isn't just like, because, like, Henrietta Nobi was, kind of cool, but mainly because of how fucked up she was. They didn't really focus a whole lot of attention on her relationship with her daughter. But with this movie, this is like the central deadite, and like it's all about this family, her sister and her kids. Like I'm hoping like we get really fucking we get some really heartbreaking stuff regarding this, because it's just, it makes like the Deadites so much more personal than they've ever been before, because Deadites usually are just kind of random strangers, or maybe just friends, or, you know, in Ash's case, a sister, but never usually something that's like, that feels like, you know, because when Cheryl got possessed in the original Evil Dead, it didn't feel like Ash really fucking cared that much. Like, it was just like, whatever. It was just, you know, he wasn't really a great brother, honestly. This movie, it feels like it's going to be a much more, like, intense situation regarding, like, you know, their hesitance to even kill this fucking mother Deadite because of all that she means to them. And, you know, the other aspect of this trailer that's very briefly shown is that the kids also get possessed. I'm not sure how far they're going to go with it, but it seems clear that there's not an easy exit from getting possessed. It seems like these kids, especially since they're not really shown in some of the later portions of the movie that seem to be shown in the trailer, it seems kind of safe to say that they're probably going to get fucking killed. They're going to get executed, which is going to be pretty hardcore. You know, you saw in Ash vs. Evil Dead, at one point, you see like a little kid get killed. You've seen, like, you know, kids get killed, I think here and there in the Evil Dead franchise, but this seems like it's going to be mostly kids getting killed, so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it with how gory the franchise is. Now, of course, Ash is supposedly not going to be in this movie. Bruce Campbell himself said he's not going to be in the movie. I feel like, you know, there's still the possibility of, like, a secret cameo like the 2013 remake. Like, just something very brief. Just something for, like, the hardcore fans. Probably a post-credit scene again. Or maybe just nothing. Because, you know, he has said that he's just, like, done appearing physically as Ash. Like, he's still gonna, like, supposedly there's going to be an Evil Dead cartoon series that's in the works. And of course he did the video game, but apparently he's, like, just totally done playing Ash in the flesh. But I guess in that case, like, there could be, like, a vocal cameo somewhere, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is at one point. I'm hoping, if there is no, like, explicit Ash stuff in this movie, I'm hoping there are still some sense of connections between this new movie, Evil Dead Rise, and the original trilogy, a TV show, and the remake. I'm hoping it doesn't feel like they're kind of still separated. I'm hoping it feels like, actually, yeah, these all take place in maybe the same world. I don't know, it'd be a cool thing to explore. Because it seems like, I don't know, if there is a future for the Evil Dead movies, especially with Rise, it feels like they're going to want to maybe make it like an anthology thing where it's just like different kinds of people come across the Necronomicon in different places. So it would be cool to have, like, just the sense that even if they're not connected story-wise, there's still a sense that they're part of the same universe, essentially. And, you know, a lot of people are like, if there is no Ash in this new Evil Dead movie, I just don't want to see it. And I'm just like, you know, I'm fine with no Ash coming back. I'm fine with that. Ash is, like, always a bonus. Like, it's always great to be able to have Ash come back, but, you know, ultimately, the only deal breaker for me with an Evil Dead thing is, are the original creators involved in some way? If not, then I'm not interested, and they've always been involved with the franchise, at least with the movies, the show, and some of the other stuff. And are there Deadites? And if there are any Deadites, then it's not an Evil Dead thing. To me, Evil Dead is ultimately down to the Deadites. To me, you could make an Ash Williams TV show where it's just about him running a hardware store. He never encounters Deadites. You could make that work just by himself. You know, in the same way you can make a Deadite movie work by itself. To me, you know, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. They're both things that work perfectly well on their own. It's just, they work especially well together. But at the same time, I feel like Ash totally overshadows the Deadites. And, you know, when you have Ash around, it becomes particularly more comedic oriented. There should be a level of humor in all Evil Dead stuff, like a certain level of dark humor. But, you know, with Ash, it does become much more, like, overtly comedic. So, you know, without Ash, you know, you can focus a little bit more on, like, the scares and the horror. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to Evil Dead Rise. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it in theaters when it releases on April 21st. Man, that was probably the longest preamble one of these streams has ever had. How long was I going just for that part? I don't even know. I can't even see the statistic. That must have been like a half hour or something. Wow. But anyway, let's move on to channel announcements. Now, this stream is mainly to promote the Gulag channel returning tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time / 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the Gulag channel and click the bell and like the video because it's premiering tomorrow morning. Make sure to watch this new review of Addams Family Reunion, returning after more than a year of absence. Don't worry, it won't disappear like that again. The Gulag channel will be working in shifts. Every time I make a video, there will be a Gulag video after, and it'll just be like a pattern kind of thing. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch this new video. Goulash worked really hard on it. It'd mean a whole lot to me if you watched it. And the next thing I'm working on, which will be coming out sometime next week, probably Saturday next week, will be the Grave Encounters review. I'm probably going to need to redo that thumbnail, fix it up, but it's just like a temp thumbnail. So that's also coming on this channel, so don't worry. There'll be 2 channels, part of a single franchise. Still be making videos on this channel, and there'll also be videos on the Gulag channel. Similar videos in vibe, but covering different kinds of horror films. You know, Goulash will be covering tamer horror, and I'll be covering the more hardcore stuff. Also, Sunday night, every Sunday night, I host a live bonus movie night stream at my die-in theater with my Patreon supporters and channel members. The next one is The Shining, the classic Stanley Kubrick adaptation. So if you want to support the channel and get a bonus stream every Sunday night, consider supporting me at patreon.com/drwolfula. I'll be watching The Shining. Just $5 a month gets you a movie night every Sunday, so, consider it. Anyway, let's move on to the Q&A finally, where I can answer your questions. This is my favorite part of the stream, because it means I can just kind of chill out and just talk with you guys. I spend, like, the first part of these streams mostly just kind of peripherally looking at the chat. Just checking the chat to make sure no one's saying, this stream isn't working. What's going on? What are you doing? There's so many glitches. Ugh. Anyway, let's see. Hunter Wilson asks, just a question. I remember the Horror Amino app being in all your intros back in the... All my intros? Hopefully, they were in my outros, I think. Well, okay, let me see. The Horror Amino app being in all your intros back in the day, and I used to have it. Is that still a thing? Do you still use it? To my knowledge, the Horror Amino app, and you might be referring to the Pop Base app, because that was another app I had some dealings with, especially the Pop Base app. To my knowledge, both apps don't exist, especially the Pop Base app. I've confirmed it myself, which, is unfortunate, but it's just how it is. The social media things, they have, like, a certain amount of time where they'll hopefully work, and if they don't reach certain goals, eventually they'll, disappear. I mean, I know with the Pop Base app, they just weren't making any money from the app. Like, that's basically the issue. And I wasn't getting paid to make stuff on the app. They were kind of just, I was working with the Pop Base app, for example, because out of just like the idea that eventually it will become this big thing if enough big creators become involved with it, and you have like this extra potential revenue stream and this potential way to reach audiences, but it never really became anything, which was sad because I thought it was a cool concept. If you weren't familiar with the Pop Base app, you have this like little, for me at least, you have this little Wolfulayer with a little cartoon me, little 3D cartoon me you can talk to with, and you play some games, but it was very rudimentary. They needed to add more, interactive features. There just wasn't enough to be engaged with, and it was just rudimentary to make content in the app itself. Like, I don't know, I feel like they just needed some better tools, but that's pretty much what happened to the Pop Base app. I don't really know what happened to the Amino app. I haven't really talked to them in like 3 or 4 years. I didn't even know it was gone. Well, that's news to me. Anyway, let me see. Aaron Kelly asks, hey Doc, will you review any older horror movies like from the 30s or the 60s? that's the plan for Universal Horror Month. I'm going to try my best to bring that back. That's going to be, 2020, 2021 was like an experimental year. We're experimental years for like themed months besides October, but unfortunately there were some issues. But I'm going to try to make Universal horror vids in advance, make sure they all come out within the month of June. I'm going to try to make it happen this year and try to make it a tradition and try to, like, get used to more of these theme months. I feel like, I don't know, I think the original idea was for me to have 4 theme months a year, and that's just a little too ambitious for me. I think I'll only have 2 theme months a year, October, of course, and then, like, a random one, whichever one I'm feeling up to any given year. So one year it could be Universal Horror Month, and another year it could be Deaduary or something totally different. Try to just get used to the, just used to that, because it is difficult, like, reaching a certain window, like, releasing a certain amount of videos within a certain window. Sometimes I'm successful at it, and very often, more often than not, I am not. So just gotta get used to it. I mean, the first Universal Horror Month, the issue with it was essentially just the Wolfulair flooded, and my equipment just wasn't available to make the remaining videos on time. So, that's always an issue when there's just, the wrath of God rains down upon me, sometimes literally, and it causes issues. I mean, a lot of previous Octobers ultimately failing is because there was some kind of horrible weather situation that kind of caused problems. So, it's unfortunate, like, there's stuff outside your control. It's never fun. That's never fun. It is what it is, though. But yeah, Michael Diaz, I will be reviewing. Michael Diaz says he'd love to see a review of The Invisible Man. That's his favorite one. That is going to be the next planned one, the first of the planned Universal videos. That was supposed to be the next one after Frankenstein for the 2020 Universal Horror Month, but it just didn't end up happening. It ended up having to get shelved. But don't worry. Don't worry. It'll come back because I want to review more classic stuff. Also make more videos in black and white, because that's what the kids like to watch. They like to watch videos in black and white. That's, that's always, like, on the top of their list of types of videos they want to watch. They want to watch stuff without color. They want to watch stuff with maybe... honestly, the Universal horror videos are... One of the fun aspects is just trying to make them look authentically from the 30s, where there's kind of, like, audio filter pops where it's just like the audio is kind of fucked up slightly. Like, that stuff's fun, and making the videos look even older, oh man, that stuff's fun. It's fun, like, looking at, like, clips from Frankenstein or Dracula and trying to, like, mess with the stuff in the video enough where it kind of looks like it's aged in the same way. Oh, that stuff's cool. Man. Okay, well, there's a few questions I want to address, so I'm going to try to keep track of them. But another atheist, oh, that's a good username. Another atheist says, do we really need a 5th Indiana Jones movie? No, we don't. Especially since they're probably going to kill him and replace him, make like a spin-off series with like that daughter or whatever they show him having in the movie. Yeah, we don't really need another Indiana Jones movie. It's so iffy to me seeing him as like an old man going on these adventures. Nothing ageist or anything, but it's just like, you gotta retire at a certain point. Why are you like going on these adventures? It seems like time travel is gonna be part of it, so it seems like maybe they're gonna have him team up with like a de-aged Harrison Ford, but I don't know. It's just getting really iffy. I'm very skeptical of this new Indiana Jones movie. There's lots of shots with Harrison Ford that just look like CGI, where it's like a stunt double, very obviously, with Harrison Ford's head digitally put onto his shoulders. Like, I don't know. When I saw him on the horse and everything, and he looked like so smooth on it, like there was nothing awkward about like him riding the horse or anything. Like he just jumps on the horse and he's just like totally fine. There's like no sense of struggle or anything on that horse. I don't know. It's just like, it's a little much for me to accept, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But Propane Salesman has a super chat. What is your doctorate in, Dr. Wolfula? My doctorate is in women's studies, so I really especially like studying women, and if there's any women that want to be studied, let me know. But also, you know, I have an honorary doctorate because I donated some money to install a new wing at the local college. They gave me a doctorate, so I got a few doctorates. I mean, they're not really anything related to sciences or medicine or anything, but you know, they're still doctorates. You still have to call me a doctor, you know. Ideally, I don't want to be called Mr. Wolfula, you know. It just doesn't have the same ring to it. But I do practice certain medicine and science, just not legally, you know. So, you know, I still have that aspect of me, just not necessarily legally. But still, you gotta call me doctor. Invidente7 says, will you review Velma? That is the plan. I have been watching every episode of Velma so far. I have watched all 6 episodes released so far. A lot of, you know, there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of bandwagoners here on this site who kind of are jumping the gun. I mean, it's a terrible show. I'm going to just get that out of the way right away. But there's lots of guys who are just kind of like, just jumping the gun, making a video about this new Velma show right away. Not waiting till like the whole show is done. Just like maybe just riffing on like the first fucking episode of the show. And, you know, a lot of people are just like, where's your Velma review? And I'm just like, I don't do that. I'm waiting for the whole show to come out. I don't like watch like the first 20 minutes of a movie and fucking review it or something. Like, I gotta watch this whole show. I want the video I make to ideally be as comprehensive as possible. But the show is bad. Like, it is a bad show. But, not for like the reasons fucking people were whining about before they saw any clips about it. That stuff, I don't have any issue with that stuff. Just the writing. Like, basically the main thing is the writing. Like, just the rapid fire jokes. Like, they don't wait a single moment to allow a joke to land before they are starting up another joke. It's just like non-stop. The characters never stop talking. It's just very exhausting to watch, and it's also very baffling. The stories don't really make any sense. It's got, like, lots of problems. Those are the, like, just the narrative issues. Like, it's very clear that it's written by people who don't even know how you should write a cartoon. Like, it's written, like, unfortunately, like, a lot of these kind of shows, especially these adult cartoon shows, they just get, like, regular sitcom writers, regular live-action sitcom writers to, you know, write the shows, and it doesn't really translate at all, especially when, you know, with a show like Velma, it's very clear they fucking don't like cartoons. Like, they don't even like the medium of animation, so it's just like, it's never a good approach. But I will review Velma. Don't worry, Invidente. I will review it. I will review it. Okay, well, the last episode of this season, because it's supposedly, this hasn't been confirmed yet, but rumor has it that it has been renewed for another season. The last episode of this season comes out, I believe, no, not the 24th. I believe it comes out on Valentine's Day, I think, or actually the 11th. Sometime early to mid-February, because there's only 2 more weeks of episodes now. It's only a 10-episode season, so 2 episodes are released a week, so let me think. Let me do the math on that. Okay, so the last episode, 26, okay, so, okay, so I think it's the 9th. The 9th is the episode, 9th is the day that has the last couple episodes. So, at some point after the 9th, I'll try to fast-track a video covering Velma, so don't worry. Anyway, let's move on. Artist SRF says, how would you feel about a horror version of Clifford the Big Red Dog? I mean, it's very far off, because Winnie-the-Pooh is just now becoming public domain. I think Clifford doesn't become public domain for another, maybe 50 years, maybe even more than that. Like, the public domain laws, thanks to Disney, have been getting extended and extended. Like, it used to be, like, a certain amount of time after an author's death, or, you know, there's some other examples of, like, situations where something becomes public domain, but the standard is, like, a certain amount of years, but it's just been, like, increasingly extended because Disney has all these lobbyists, but I feel like, you know, if Winnie-the-Pooh is just now becoming public domain, you know, Clifford is far off. And, you know, you have to, I feel like a Clifford the Big Red Dog horror movie would be, it'd be unlikely just because you would have to have I guess if they're making it 50 years from now, I guess budget won't be a concern. Like, you could just program an AI to animate a giant red dog into your shots or whatever. Who knows how much things have advanced. But, to do it now, though, it would be, like, pretty costly compared to the typical thing. Like, with this Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie, it's just fucking guys in costumes with, like, just masks that don't seem like they can fucking move their faces at all. So, it'd be whatever. And, I wouldn't care that much because I'm not like a huge Winnie-the-Pooh fan or anything, but the main reason why I've been focusing a lot of attention on this Winnie-the-Pooh horror movie is just because it's just, like, kind of strange and funny. Like, it's like that Banana Splits horror movie. Like, I wasn't a fan of Banana Splits, but it's just this weird thing that's just, like, exists. Like, where there was no demand for it. But the fact that it's so weird means that it can get, like, lots of attention surrounding it. So, I wouldn't really care if they made a Clifford the Big Red Dog horror movie. It'd be whatever. It's the same thing with Winnie-the-Pooh. It's just kind of interesting. Nicole L. has a super chat. Paranormal Activity reviews and stream soon. Oh, I think streams, maybe soon. Maybe could be the next streams after The Shining for the Patreon, but the plan is to review the Paranormal Activity series soon. I think I'm gonna, like, review... I'm finishing up editing the Grave Encounters review, so I think after that, I might do the sequel. There's one sequel, and then I'll move on to reviewing the Paranormal Activity series with little vids here and there. I still need to finish the Purge franchise, too, so I think maybe they'll, like... the plan has been to, like, take turns between the Purge and Paranormal Activity, like, go back and forth between them. So, yeah, Paranormal Activity is, in the cards. Just with, like, little videos. I'm not gonna make, like, fucking 20 to 30-minute videos of each Paranormal Activity movie. They're gonna be, like, 10 to 15 each. They're not... It's not like a franchise I'm, like, fucking... really super interested in, but there are going to be also some Final Destination reviews, and those will be on the longer side for sure, just because they're reviews. Those are always gonna be a longer kind of video. Alright, let me find another question. Okay, well, Captain Man is a super chat. Thank you, Captain Man. Do you think you'll stream the new Dead Space? I'm thinking about it, but I want to play it first. I know it's out now. I think it's out now. I know it's out soon if it's not out now. I know it's out very, very soon if not. I think it comes out today, though, but I want to play through it first. The thing I'm planning is after I stream my playthrough of that Batman Arkham Origins DLC, Cold Heart, the thing I'm planning to stream next is like a full game stream playthrough is The Last of Us Chapter 1, the PS5 remake. I played through that recently and I really enjoyed it. I actually finished the second game today, and it was the most horrible gaming experience I've had in a long time. Playing like a game all the way to the end, like just a really stupid story, like a dumb storytelling, like character motivations that make no sense. Like Last of Us Part 2 really sucked. Also, I just felt like it was too long, but I really liked that first game, and it was my first time playing it all the way through. I played a little bit of the remaster on the PS4, but I didn't get that far in it, but I played the fucking remake all the way through and had a great time, so yeah, I want to stream that for sure. So, especially with the TV show out right now. The thing that actually got me interested in Last of Us, the games, definitely that HBO Max show coming out. I wanted to get caught up before watching the show. I'm hoping the show, because the show today got renewed for Season 2. I'm hoping Last of Us Season 2, because, it's apparently going to follow the plot of the second game. I'm hoping they fix that fucking plot, because it's one thing to, like, have, like, a bad story that's a video game, because at least you get to play something. At least there's that. And it's, like, a pretty reasonably good game at the end of the day, but it's another thing to, like, watch something that's just got, like, a bad plot, because then it's just just a bad thing to watch. That might have some entertainment value, though, because, you know, I'm sure, like, you know, that Walking Dead show, terrible stories for years, but people were still watching because it was like, you know, a thing on TV with zombies in it, and the zombies looked pretty cool. You know, you had to sit through a lot of bullshit to get to the zombies, but, you know, they were still there, so, you know. Wildcat asks, will you do more Scooby-Doo? Well, there will be a Velma review, and I am planning, once I feel like, you know, I've got a good groove going with the current run of my videos and the Gulag videos, there will be, we will finally finish off Scooby-Doo Where Are You, the original show, and we'll see what happens from there. There are plans for the Gulag to review the made-for-TV Scooby-Doo live-action film, so, you know, a lot of the Scooby-Doo stuff will migrate to the Gulag, and, I guess, you know, this is, you know, if you've watched the first Gulag video, this is not going to matter at all to you, but on Sunday, as just like, you know, a sample to try to get more folks to subscribe to the Gulag, the first Gulag video, which is a 25-minute review of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, will be posted to this channel, you know, to try to drum up some numbers and get people interested to promote the new Gulag video that's going to come out tomorrow morning, so, you know, if you've seen that video already, it's not a big deal, but if you haven't even given the Gulag a shot, you know, there's Scooby-Doo stuff here on this channel Sunday, something maybe you saw already, but, you know, it's going to be there. But yeah, don't worry, eventually Scooby-Doo Where Are You will be finished off, and we'll see what happens from there. If I want to have the guy who does those videos make some more comprehensive Scooby stuff past that point, we'll see. But let me address this super chat from Xavier DeGod. Doc, will you get Resident Evil 4 remake? I've always been meaning to play Resident Evil 4. I've always heard it's one of the best games ever made. I remember it was like, you know, I used to watch G4 TV, and that was like one of those games they constantly discussed in just reviews or cheats or previews or just like whatever, like just, and you know, it's a game I always wanted to try, but I just never had the chance, so I think I'll finally give it a shot with the remake. I'm not super hardcore into the Resident Evil franchise, unfortunately, though, and that might be the game that gets me into it, though, because I played little bits and pieces of all the games. I played the 3DS one, Revelations. I played a bit of Resident Evil 8, but admittedly, you know, Village lost my interest because the fucking tall vampire lady gets killed in, like, the first few hours, and I'm just like, that's the main reason why I fucking played this game. Like, you can't do that to me. Like, I'm not gonna fucking keep playing the game just to, like, fight this guy named Heisenberg. I don't care about my baby being, like, turned into some kind of jar or whatever. I don't even know what the fuck the plot was. Like, just an insane plot. Just wanted more of that tall vampire lady, and I fucking killed her. Like, that was it. Ah, man, it really upset me. But yeah, I'll definitely have to check out the remake of Resident Evil 4, though. Alright, let me get a nice drink of Fresca real quick telepathically. Let me just mute my mic. Oh, that was some good Fresca. I feel like a new man after that Fresca. Oh, man, I feel replenished. Alright, let me see. Yeah, well, okay, like, part of me really wants to. It's another Scooby-Doo question, but I think I should move on to a more horror question first. Hunter Wilson asks, do you think Michael would have put up a decent fight against Ben Tramer? Because I say probably not. Let me think. Well, you know, Ben Tramer was a lover, not a fighter. You know, he probably, you know, he's a good man. He's not someone who wants to even possibly take another man's life. He's a pacifist. He'll, like, defend others, but he's not gonna go up in arms, like, for petty reasons, so he probably would lay his life down on the line and let Michael kill him, because he's a noble man. But it would break my heart. But I think realistically, if Ben Tramer chose to fight, he would definitely find some way, especially with prep time, to win against Michael, for sure. That's just what I think, though. Captain Man has a super chat. Do you think you'll ever stream the Metro games? I don't know. I'm only vaguely familiar with them. I'll have to look into them more, but as far as I know, I guess maybe they have zombies or something. It shows how unfamiliar I am with them. I've only seen little bits and pieces of gameplay, and mostly it seems like, you know, a shooter, a post-apocalyptic shooter, mostly in, like, subway tunnels, I think. But it shows how, you know, it's something I need to look into more, just because I just don't have much, if any, you know, familiarity at the end of the day. So it's something I need to look into first before I could say. Aaron Leeglin has a super chat. Doc, do you like heavy metal bands? I personally love bands like Korn, Slipknot, and Breaking Benjamin. If you do, what are your favorite bands? No, I'm not really into any heavy metal bands, unfortunately, which, you know, disappoints people. I listen to, you know, mainly Scooby-Doo music, anything that was in Scooby-Doo. I feel like maybe there was some, you know, they did do like a Kiss crossover. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not that hardcore, but, you know, I guess maybe Kiss. I don't know. It just shows how little attention I've given to heavy metal music. I knew someone who was really into heavy metal music, and, you know, I guess trying to get me into it more, but it just didn't end up happening, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. I guess I'll look out for some suggestions, because, you know, like the Scooby-Doo music I listen to is a total crutch, admittedly. I do need to, like, broaden my horizons for sure. Need to broaden my horizons. Try to get a little bit more cultured, because, you know, a lot of my fans, like, they're into wrestling, they're into, like, heavy metal. Not really stuff I'm into personally, though. Like, it's kind of like this this Venn diagram of horror fans, though. Like, you're into the horror genre, and you're also into heavy metal music, and also into wrestling. I only fall into really one of those categories, but guess I'll see if I can kind of break into those other realms of existence, I suppose. All right, let me see. Michael Sullivan asks, how's Meredith? You know, things could be better. I don't know what to tell you. Things could be better. She's currently, you know, staying with her mother. Yeah, it's just how it is. I'm hoping we can reconnect or something, but things are on the outs right now. But, you know, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic things will turn around. I don't... Otherwise, we'll have to share custody of Goulash. That'll suck. Ah, dear Lord. Anyway. Captain Man has a super chat. Will you ever play the Metro games? I mean, that's, you know, definitely a distinct possibility at some point. I feel like I might, through, like, either PSN, like the PS Plus perks, or Xbox perks, I feel like I have to own at least one Metro game. I just haven't played it yet, so I might give it a shot. I might even play it tonight. Might even finally try one of the Metro games out tonight, see how I like it. Alright, let me see. Let's find another question. Risk Gabe 99 asks, hey Doc, what are your thoughts on Piranha 3D? Well, you know, I feel like Piranha 2, the film that precedes it, is James Cameron's finest cinematic effort. And at some point, I would like to review the Piranha films, and I'll just keep it at that for now. I guess Riff View is more appropriate, I should say. Xavier the God says Doc listens to Hex Girls. You're right. They're fucking hardcore. I'm really into eco-goth music. That's what they fucking call themselves. We're eco-goths. I don't even know if eco-goths are like a thing. I guess it's what they call, I guess it's like the fucking thing, what they tried to call being a Wiccan in 1999 or something, like make it sound more like a buzzword or something. Magteeth Matt says, I really want a Reanimator 4 like so bad. I would like to see that series continue again, especially with Jeffrey Combs returning. There was supposedly, I think I covered it in a video maybe, but there was supposedly an attempt to make a Lovecraftian-influenced reanimated TV show. That was going to be more like a teen drama, but the pilot didn't get picked up, and I don't think anyone got to see the pilot. Probably was going to be bad. But I think it would be interesting to do, like... I always thought it would be a cool thing to do, like, a fucking Breaking Bad style reanimator TV show, like something like that. Only instead of cooking meth, you're cooking reagent, and he has like Herbert West has some kind of like kind of. He's kind of working with a student or something, maybe under an assumed name, an assumed identity or something, like bringing back his research and causing all kinds of zombies to get on the loose again. I always thought it would be a cool idea to explore that as like a TV show, but it just hasn't happened. Maybe something on Shudder. It's something I honestly, because if Ash vs. Evil Dead couldn't be like a huge hit on like something like Stars, where it was more like just a cult success like the movies themselves, I feel like a Reanimator show would be a little even more niche than that, unfortunately. Aaron Lee Glenn has a super chat. As a Wolfulite, how did you meet Unwanted House Guest? I mean, honestly, it's not something really all that spectacular. I just came across his channel, and I thought, oh, that looks cool. Like, I like his visual style and his music. And I reached out to him, and I started promoting some of his videos, and actually appeared in a couple of his videos recently. That's pretty much it. It's nothing fucking crazy. I mean, I guess it would be cool if we met in the other zone or something, like just something really cool and spooky or whatever. But no, it was just like, online. It was basically it. Nicole L says, let's watch old school WWF WWE wrestling. It might happen. I might give that a shot. Might stream that in my Discord or something. Alright. Okay, let me see. Find, Juan Pablo Saenz. Okay, I should just say Juan Pablo. What do you think about Art the Clown? Is he this generation's horror icon? I'm not sure. I mean, I still need to see Terrifier 2. A lot of people want me to review it. I didn't like the first one. A lot of people like the first one, but I heard the second one is really good. I heard the second one addresses all the problems I had with the first one, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out, but I'm not really sure what Art the Clown is. It seems like he's some kind of undead, pan-dimensional ghost clown or something? I don't know. It's very vague about what he is. I feel like, you don't really want to know too much about what that fucking guy is. I mean, I guess he could be just like a fucking Pennywise or something, but I don't know. I don't know what he is. But, he has, like, caught on, like, really quickly after just, I guess, 2 movies and, like, I guess kind of 2 movies and a short film. He's already, like, actually, I guess 2 short films. He's already, like, got quite the internet presence, so, at least, like, as a meme, he's really catching on with people, for sure. Alright, Xavier the God says, what's your favorite clown horror movie? I don't know. I'm not sure if I even, like, have a clown horror movie that I feel, like, passionate enough to say it's my favorite. I feel like, I don't know. I guess maybe clowns just don't really do it for me. Like, there's, like, Pennywise, but I'm not really that into him. There isn't really another horror clown that I really like. I couldn't really tell you. I wish I had a better answer. I mean, I guess the closest to one is, like, very fucking iffy to even say, but, John Carpenter's Halloween technically has a killer clown in the opening. Michael wears that little clown mask, stabs his sister, but that's basically the only, I guess, clown-related horror movie I could feel like actually, passionate about. I guess I'm just not super into clowns in general. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not like one of those people who's just like, I hate clowns. But I'm not really somebody who's just like super into the clown horror scene, But, Captain Spaulding is brought up. I guess, honestly, yeah, I I guess actually I would say, even though I don't like, Rob Zombie's movies generally, I do like the Captain Spaulding character as played by Sid Haig. Like, I guess I would go with him. I guess I would go with him. Like, honestly, he's like, the highlight of those movies. I still haven't seen the third one. But yeah, I guess I'd go with Captain Spaulding there. It's brought up. All right, let's find another question. Let me see. Okay. Xavier the God says, Doc, you don't like Killer Clowns from Outer Space? I do like that movie, but again, I'm just not like one of those people. Like, a lot of people are just a lot more like super into clowns and clown horror movies than me, evidently, because it's never been something I've been very particularly passionate about, where it's like a thing I'm like drawn to. But it's like, it's like just a, it's kind of like a subgenre in and of itself. Like, a clown killing people is just like a big deal by itself. It's like zombies. Xavier the God also has a super chat. What's your favorite horror killer mask? He asks. Honestly, I think I'd have to go with the Pretty Lady mask at the end of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the last mask Leatherface wears in that movie. It just looks really creepy, but also it just like Robert Burns was just so good at he did all the art design on that movie, and it's just so authentic, and it does look like a real face on on Gunnar Hansen's head. Like, it's just very eerie, and it's another aspect of it I appreciate it is it has the hair built into the mask itself. It's just, I don't know, it's just such an iconic look with the heels and everything too combined. It's just this interesting combination of just kind of in between a man and a woman, just this eerie design to it that really, it's because up to that point he was kind of just wearing, with that mask it really sells that he's basically taking on different personas when he wears the masks, because when he's wearing the butcher mask earlier, he's kind of all right, he's just wearing a guy's face, and then you see the grandma mask briefly, and it's all right, that's a little odd, but then that last mask is what really strikes home what Leatherface is. It's something I feel like the later versions of Leatherface 2 have kind of lost as well. And, of course, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the next generation, did kind of take it a little too far and just made him a full-on hermaphrodite or whatever. That's a little iffy, but it's kind of interesting. Maybe, he had this female mask, so that kind of influenced how he dressed, but it's not necessarily he's just a fucking, he's transgender or anything. I never got that sense. It's just, he wears this female mask, so it kind of influences his personality and his appearance to a certain degree when he's at this formal dinner. He wants to look nice. It's the nicest mask he has. All right, let me see. Well, Nathan Swap agrees with me. Yeah, not a huge clown dude. Yeah, at least I know. I guess maybe that's part of the bias I have against maybe Art the Clown. Just never been that into clowns. Not scared of them. I don't hate them or anything. Just never been super into them in general. Nazlover38 asks, Dr. Wolfula, what don't you like about Rob Zombie films? They insist upon themselves. I don't know what more I could, how much further I can elaborate. I've just never been into, I don't know, the attempt at a faux grindhouse aesthetic, and it always feels like he's kind of stitching together movies you've seen already, but just they're kind of remixed or something. I don't know, never been, I haven't watched any of his recent movies. I've only watched, because I'm not a hate watcher of Rob Zombie movies though. I just know the stuff I've seen I haven't been really into. I'm not like a fucking guy who's like, okay, I gotta watch this new Rob Zombie movie just to shit all over it. Like, I'm not like that. I've seen the first 2 movies he did, which were the first Firefly movies, and, you know, I saw, you know, the Halloween ones, and I saw El Super Beasto, because there's only so many animated horror movie kind of things that are kind of comedic, too. And, you know, I did like El Super Beasto, just because it was kind of, you know, filling in a niche. Like, there, unfortunately, aren't any real adult animated movies in general, and it was kind of neat to see that get made, you know? There was that. But yeah, I haven't watched any of his more recent movies, so I couldn't really tell you. I just know what I didn't like in the ones I have seen, and I've, you know, elaborated upon it quite a bit. I mean, I've seen people say they fucking love the new Monsters movie, and I've seen people, I mean, most people I've seen are like, it's shitty, but I've seen some people who are like super into that Monsters movie, so I don't want to discredit them at all. Like, you know, they definitely, a lot of people seem to like even that Monsters movie enough to, like, I've had people, like, just be like, yeah, it's just really good. So I guess maybe I'll check out that Monsters movie. I feel like it'll be a little bit more palatable for me as far as getting into Rob Zombie's recent filmography, because I know going into it, it's a PG movie, so there's not going to be, like, a fucking, you know, a fucking surprise rape scene, or, like, talking about, like, fucking a pig, like, just something, like, just like, oh, dear Lord, I have to fucking watch and listen to this shit for, like, 90 minutes, like, you know, at least it's going to be, like, a tame experience. At least it's not going to be like, oh, man, I gotta watch, like, a guy talking about eating out, like, a pig's asshole or something. Like, no, I don't want to, like, I don't know, some of his dialogue is just like, why do you force actors to say this shit? Like, I don't know. Oh, it's just horrible. Okay. I tried to think of, just on the spot, the most horrible thing I could even imagine someone talking about. I don't know, like, some of the dialogue in those Halloween movies, just iffy. Okay. Dobers has a super chat. Can you believe it, Doc? Eli Roth is finally making his Grindhouse Thanksgiving slasher movie after 15 years. I wish he wasn't such a donk, though. I don't know about that last part, but it's good for him. I mean, it'll be good news for me, just because potentially have, like, another fucking Thanksgiving horror movie to talk about in a future video, so at least there'll be that. You know, not really super into Rob Zombie. I mean, not Rob Zombie, Eli Roth either, but he also has a fan base. And I admittedly haven't gone super hardcore into his filmography either. But what I've seen I thought was pretty okay, though the fucking ending to that first Cabin Fever movie is still, like, so fucking insane to me. If you haven't seen Cabin Fever, at least his first Cabin Fever, because he produced and wrote a remake to his own movie later, but that first Cabin Fever has just the most fucking wacky ending I've seen in a horror movie. Just like a long, really, really long punchline to something that happens earlier in the movie. Just crazy. Alright, anyway, let me, Oh, Zachary Allen Jones asks, hey, Dr. Wolfula, would you play Choo Choo Charlie? That's something I've been actually thinking about. I saw it very early on when it was in early access on Steam. I've been thinking about streaming it, especially since I heard that it's only like 2 hours long. Like, it's pretty short, but I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. And ideally I want to be able to play a game all the way through, because I've, like, gone into streaming games blind, and it's always just rough, because, like, I'm looking at the chat, and I'm also trying to learn a game, and it's just like a nightmare, and I'm, like, trying to find my way in dark places, like, trying to solve puzzles, too, like, my mind is in different places, so it's always a little nicer when, like, I know how to play the game already, and I'm not getting lost or any bullshit, just because, you know, it's always a better experience. It's a less frustrating experience to watch, but then again, I do also realize some people like to watch, people get frustrated playing video games, so I guess there's also that aspect. But it's not fun for me, at least. Might be fun for some people watching, though. Alright, let me see how long we've been going. Okay, yeah, still plenty of time for this stream. Just needed to check. But yeah, I have been planning to stream Choo Choo Charlie at some point. Just hasn't happened yet. Just hasn't happened. That's something that has caught my interest. And if you're not familiar with Choo Choo Charlie, I should have talked about it before, but essentially, Choo Choo Charlie, it's got the dumbest name. Like, so many horror games and horror stuff in general now have, like, really stupid names, but it's basically, I guess you're stuck on this spooky island, and you have to, like, build your own train to survive on it, because on the island, there's, like, a fucking train with, like, I think it has, like, spider legs, a giant train with spider legs and, like, a clown face that's coming after you. Just a wild idea, and you have to, like, build, like, your own train to try to escape from him, and, like, your train has, like, Gatling guns on it to try to stop him from getting you, like, just insane. Just, just a wacky idea. I've heard mixed feelings about it, but, you know, at the end of the day, the game was supposedly made by one developer. You know, it's an indie game made by one guy, so it's not gonna be like, you know, a fucking AAA experience, but from what I saw, it looks fucking crazy. Alright. Got some Fresca. Oh, man. Gavin Elrod asks, Seth MacFarlane or Matt Groening? I mean, I'm ultimately a fan of The Simpsons, so I gotta go with Matt Groening, though, to my knowledge, you know, Matt Groening, you know, took a flight on the Epstein plane at one point. Didn't go to the island, from what I heard, though, but, you know, he did take a flight, you know, according to documents. He was on an Epstein plane at one point, so that's not good. He got, like, a foot massage by an underage girl. Terrible, terrible thing to hear about. As far as I know, Seth MacFarlane never did that, so at least he's got that going for him, for sure. At least there's that. I mean, you know, Seth MacFarlane also dodged getting a flight on one of the 9/11 planes, too, so, you know, he's got really good luck when it comes to planes, Seth MacFarlane, for sure. Aaron Lee Glenn asks, do you like South Park? I mean, I do like South Park, to a certain degree, like a casual extent, when, like, I'm at, like, a hotel on vacation and just killing time. I'll put on Comedy Central, because they're just always playing fucking South Park. But it's not a show I've ever gone out of the way to watch. But I always, you know, it's always kind of fun, like, watching a random South Park episode, for sure. Especially an episode from, like, the first 10 or 15 years of the series. Staghorn the Druid says, rest in peace, Rick and Morty. Oh yeah, that's another, you know, it's a more recent example of an adult animated cartoon creator catching some heat. You know, it's, what he did was terrible, like, you know, domestic abuse, but also, Justin Roiland, I should say, the co-creator of Rick and Morty, / the guy who voices the titular characters and a whole bunch of other fucking characters on the show, like, you know, supposedly grooming kids, grooming teens and stuff, you know, not cool. Pretty terrible. Got fired. Honestly, I started playing that High on Life game, and as soon as I heard about that news, I was like, okay, you know, I don't know if I want to hear this guy's voice constantly talking anymore. I'll just uninstall the game. It is what it is, though. I know some people think, you know, he didn't do that stuff, but, you know, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. I mean, you know, I'm hoping, well, you know, I guess it's just, you know, it's just terrible situation. Either way, you know, ultimately, you know, I'm hoping, like, I don't know, I don't know, to me it's something I could definitely buy, though, because, I don't know, he definitely gives off a vibe, I don't know, like, especially some of his early cartoons, watching that first fucking Rick and Morty cartoon where Morty's jacking off Rick, like, just, like, and, like, one of his cartoons is, like, you know, a dude, like, I don't know if you've seen some of Justin Roiland's earlier cartoons, and, you know, you gotta separate the work from the artist, but some of those early cartoons, like, are a little iffy. Like one of them is, like, a dude, like the Mr. Jellybean guy who eventually appeared in Rick and Morty, like, he kidnaps these two kids, and he says he, like, raped the two kids, and then he cuts off their faces, and they show the guy cutting off their faces, and it's like, why would you draw that? Why would you animate that? And, like, even think about it? I don't know, it just comes off as, like, I don't know, like, kind of a drunk, weird asshole, so, you know, it's something I can definitely believe, but, you know, technically there hasn't been any concrete proof, so, you know, it is what it is, though. It's what it is. But yes, I do agree. Michael Sullivan says Mike Judge is awesome. He is. He's definitely one of the best. You know, King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead, all great shows. I guess maybe some of the cartoons he made besides that, not so great, but those are two great shows. And, you know, his live-action films like Office Space. Like, he's a guy who was able to cross the threshold into two different worlds pretty successfully, like animation and live action. Can't say the same for a lot of folks. But anyway, we're going to move on from this topic of conversation, because we've just gotten into some really dark territory, and especially territory that's divisive. You definitely, let's move on. All right. Okay, Allison writes, has a super chat. What do you think of the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game? And which of the killers would you want to play as? The Cook, Hitchhiker, or Leatherface? I would definitely make my main the Hitchhiker, just because Leatherface is going to be super popular. Like, you know, you gotta play as, like, I always go for, like, the lesser popular character, ideally. You know, because everybody's gonna go for Leatherface, so I'll probably main the Hitchhiker. But as far as the game itself, they still haven't really shown a whole lot of gameplay so far, and I'm super skeptical of the developer itself, just because, you know, they don't have, like, a great track record with that Friday the 13th game. They kind of took the money and ran, and I felt like, you know, a lot of people say the lawsuit was what caused the issue, but ultimately it was just a convenient excuse, because they kind of had a mess of a game. Like, the player count was diminishing because the game was just, like, really released messily on release, like, and they just didn't really bother to fix it, and they just had a convenient out to not fix it or complete it at all. Like, I don't know, like, I'm very afraid of how this Texas Chainsaw Massacre game will turn out, especially since they don't have the rights to the whole franchise. They only have the rights to the first movie, which is, like, a shame, because it's just like, I love the first movie. It's the best one. It's my favorite horror movie, but I don't think you can make an asymmetrical horror game based on that one movie by itself. Ideally, you could at least get, like, the rights to the second movie and maybe the third movie or something. They don't have those rights. Because Texas Battleland would be a cool map from the second movie. You know, maybe you could do something with, like, the woods from the third movie. I don't know. Like, to me, being limited to just that first movie, it's just, I don't know. Just very skeptical. Like, I feel like it's just going to get stretched thin, especially since they announced that they have to create new characters. Like, they have to invent totally new characters, because they only have the rights to, you know, Leatherface, the Hitchhiker, and the Cook. They don't have the rights to those three characters, so they have to, like, make up totally new characters. Yeah, and I'm just iffy about it. Yeah, and they can't have Chop Top, as Main Man points out. Like, I don't know, it's just such a missed opportunity. Oh well. Mr. Video has a super chat. Do you think Family Guy would work as a horror series? I don't know. I mean, I remember they did, like, a Stephen King episode of Family Guy, and they didn't even bother to adapt any of his horror stories. It feels like that's something they don't even, like, try to do. Like, it feels like they don't even want to go into that territory that Simpsons does every Halloween. They're just like, yeah, you know, Simpsons does that. Not even gonna bother with it, so I couldn't really tell you. I guess maybe in, like, 70, 80 years, we'll find out when Family Guy goes public domain. Hey, Lois, remember that time I fucking impaled you and ripped out all your guts? Remember that time? Peter? Okay, I need my guts to... Okay, no, I'm not even... I'm fucking riffing. Oh, dear Lord. I don't know. I would be skeptical of a Family Guy horror movie working, though. It doesn't even work when I try to imagine it right now. Anyway, Blaze Piffington asks, Doc, do you play Elder Scrolls Online? And if you don't, what class would you be? I mean, I don't really play any MMOs, but I played the Elder Scrolls series for sure. Big fan of, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, so I played those. And I always go for, like, a dark elf guy. Always, like, basically the same design, kind of scruffy, like, with, like, one white eye and, like, a scar, like, kind of, something, like, something kind of cool looking, but yeah, that's basically it. So if I played the online version, definitely go with a dark elf. That's the one I always go with. I feel like an orc would probably be more suitable for me, like, especially with their kind of, like, their teeth sticking out, but, I never go with orcs. I think maybe I did go with an orc. I think I played a little bit of the PS5 version, and I tried making an orc. I did make an orc. I did make an orc, but I didn't really get that much further into it. I always start Skyrim, and then I just kind of lose interest, like, on different platforms. I've bought it so many times. I've always been more of a Fallout guy, ultimately. But I always play a little bit of, the Elder Scrolls games, though. I'll definitely play Starfield when it comes out. For sure, I'll probably play the hell out of it, too. I actually got a new... well, I haven't gotten it yet, but I did order a new GPU for my computer, a graphics card. Which, the one that people have been, like, suggesting you don't get. The new one, the 4070 Ti. But I got it, it's double the power of my 2070 Super, so, it's an improvement. It's, so, I feel like, it's enough of an improvement for me. Apparently it's not a great value for the amount of power you get, but, I won't notice. Apparently, I'm hoping it comes soon. Apparently it's coming on Sunday, so I'm hoping it really supercharges this PC I'm currently streaming on. Because I have upgraded the power supply of this PC and the RAM of this PC. Now I have 32 gigs of RAM, doubled the RAM. I'm trying to, like, keep it upgraded. I got this PC, like, 3 years ago, and it's, like, it was pretty great 3 years ago, but, I want to make sure it's, like, staying current, staying up to date. Also updated to Windows 11, finally, on this PC, so, making sure it's got a long life ahead of it. And Kenzie J just has a super chat sticker. Thank you, Kenzie. All right, let me find another question. Question. Captain Man just says, Fallout is fucking awesome. I agree. Though, I guess, like, continuing my point about MMOs, I've tried multiple times to get into Fallout 76, but I've just never been able to do it. There just isn't that strong hook. And that's, like, an issue like a lot of MMOs have, is that they don't really have a hook that draws me in. Like, something cool story-wise, something about the world. It's always just, like, they always start in a very mundane way, and it just never draws me in. Then again, I feel like I just haven't given enough MMOs a shot. But I feel like a lot of them just kind of start, and you're just in the middle of this world, and you just gotta fucking figure out the story and the characters yourself. Like, I don't know. That's just something. But, but from what I played, Fallout 76 is basically, just, the regular Fallout 4 gameplay, just without, like, a good hook. If it had a better hook, I probably would have gotten into it more. But I always, like, do, like, the first few hours of quests, and I always just stop playing, unfortunately. I played it... I mean, I have it on Steam Deck now, and I played it a bit there, and I've tried to get into it there, especially since it's portable, but it's just hasn't drawn me in. Alright, let me, see, But Jeff Stamp says I should definitely play the new Dead Space. That's the plan. I'll definitely play it, at least. If I stream it, that'll be another story. It'll depend on how well I play it. I did play, you know, the original game on the 360, but that was 15 years ago. That was so long ago. I remember leaving Walmart with that game, like, just, oh, man. Back when they had Platinum Hits, back when Xbox had, like, Platinum Hits, it was, like, one of the Platinum Hits. Got it for 20 bucks at Walmart. Michael Diaz says, Doc, name a movie continuation of a franchise that isn't divisive among fans these days. I don't know. That's a tough one. I feel like, I don't know if I can think of one that's, like, universally... I mean, from what I heard, everybody loved Terrifier, too. I didn't see anybody say they disliked that, and that's, you know, technically a continuation. I think you're more meaning, like, a long-time franchise, like, that's been brought back after a long absence. But, you know, I guess that technically counts. I haven't seen the movie myself yet. I still need to, but from what I heard, everybody loved it. Never saw a single soul say they disliked that one, so... I guess that would be the example, but let me think of one, because, you know, people were increasingly iffy about all the new Halloween trilogy films. And people were iffy about that new Scream movie. I feel like, I don't know, I didn't see a lot of people who disliked the new Hellraiser movie. So I guess maybe that's an example. I didn't actually see anybody, like, say they didn't like it. I only saw people say they liked it and maybe had some issues with certain things. But I felt like I didn't see anybody strongly be like, oh, that one sucks. So I guess maybe that's another example, but I guess maybe could be another situation where some people just didn't feel strongly one way or another about it, so that could also be a thing. I mean, I felt like the same way. Like, I liked some stuff, and I didn't dislike anything about that new Hellraiser, but I just kind of felt like a little apathetic towards some of the stuff in the movie, but I thought some stuff was really good in the movie, and some stuff I also liked, but, you know, just at the end of the day, it wasn't a movie I remembered, though, but I didn't see anybody say they hated it, though. Alright, okay, let me find another question. Scary Marilyn says, everyone loved that newer Mummy movie with Tom Cruise. That's what I heard. I heard they made a whole, like, cinematic universe just based around that first Mummy movie they made with Tom Cruise. I think Javier Bardem played, like, fucking, what did he fucking play? Who was he supposed to fucking play in that? Like, I think, like, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I don't know, Johnny Depp is the Invisible Man. Yeah, like, you know, we got all those movies after that. Like, it was definitely a huge hit. Oh, man, definitely looking forward to the Bride of Frankenstein movie they're making. Anyway. Aaron Lee Glenn asks, will you ever review Shaun of the Dead, Doc? I don't know. I'm not in a huge rush to review something like that, just because it's, you know, it's a fucking classic, but it's also like a funny movie, so there's not really any... Ideally, I don't do, like, a lot of videos based around comedic films, unless, like, the comedy is bad, just because, you know, all I can really bring to the table then is just, you know, critique. And that's, like, not as fun as being able to make some jokes, so, you know, it's... You know, if you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, though, it's definitely a classic, and it's a funny movie, and it's a movie I love, for sure. I love Hot Fuzz more than Shaun of the Dead, but I love both of them. I also love World's End. You know, I love that whole trilogy. World's End is the weakest one, but it's still a great movie. Like, you know, it's one of those things where I do feel like some people aren't really willing to accept a successor or a sequel. In this case, it's a successor not being as good as its predecessors. Like, you know, like, not every sequel is gonna be as good or as better as the original. A lot of them aren't, but some of them are still good or great. Like, you know, they're still fine movies. They're just not as good. Like, I don't know, I feel like people get hung up on Oh, well, it's not as good as better, so it's just like, it's not even worth the time. You know, it'd still be a great movie, you know, or a good movie at least, you know. I feel like some people are just a little hard on some sequels more than they should be, but, you know, it's whatever. As long as the sequel's good, though, that's all that matters. It might not be as great, but, you know, if it's a good time, it's fine with me. All right. Okay, let me see. Artist SRF says, do you think jocks are getting too much hate outside of sports films? Well, I guess that kind of brings up an interesting point. I mean, I don't know. A lot of jocks you meet in real life are kind of jackasses, so, you know, maybe it's you know, fitting, I suppose. Like, you know, it's based on real life. Like, I feel like a lot of the positive portrayals of jock are like a science fiction portrayal. Like, oh, this is the ideal version of a guy. Like, we're kind of like subverting your expectations of what a jock is like, you know. You know, but you know, they got it coming. You know, they're not like a group that's like got it hard or anything. Like, if like movies depict jocks as like dumb guys or jerks or bullies, whatever. It's like ultimately still getting laid and stuff. Like, they're still up on top of things, so it's whatever. All right, let me see. Christian McDermott says, hey, Dr. Wolfula, can you unblock the King Kong Lives video? It was amazing. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have that power. But I will potentially redo that review and just make it basically, you know, because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen it anyway. Like, remake it, add in some new jokes, like, revisit some of the older jokes and just, like, spruce it up and, like, do what I do now to make sure my videos don't get blocked for copyright. Because, like, you know, I couldn't make it available again anyway, because it's blocked for copyright. But now I've figured out certain techniques, which are a trade secret, in order to avoid issues with copyright. So I essentially need to remake the video anyway. Re-edit it in a certain way where it can kind of squeak by. It's edited in a certain way where there's, you know, I don't want to give away too much, though, because I feel like if I give away my secrets, then the YouTube algorithm will learn about them, and it'll just make my life a whole lot harder. Anyway. Lady Carmilla Sanguina. Oh, man, you could tell my voice is getting really hoarse after nearly streaming for 2 hours. But Lady Carmilla Sanguina has it. Lady Carmilla Sanguina asks, Doc, how did it feel to put 9 years to rest with finishing the Halloween fan game? Honestly, it felt good. There's definitely some other stuff where I definitely need some closure, some stuff I never finished, especially game-wise. Like, you know, Alien Isolation. I did, like, 2 parts of, like, a Let's Play series of that Alien Isolation game. I never even got to the alien. I got to, like, the first stealth section, and I got super fucking frustrated. Because I'm, like, not great at stealth. It's not, like, a genre I like to play, especially stealth games where you can get killed in one hit, or a stealth game where you're also, like, not a character with powers. Like, if it's something like Dishonored or Batman, like, you know, I can get behind that kind of stealth game. But when it's like the vulnerable stealth games, it's always something I'm just kind of iffy playing. But I played, you know, I got further in Alien Isolation into a playthrough, and I'd like to stream that again, or I guess stream it and finally beat it live, but I guess we'll see. Alright, okay, Scary Marilyn says she's tired, but thanks for hanging out, dudes and dudettes. Well, it was great to have you, Marilyn. Good night. Alright, Aaron, okay, well, let me see, Extra Spooky says, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo would be good if there wasn't a certain character in it. Yeah, I've been rewatching 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, and yeah, you know, Flim Flam is just as bad as I remembered him. He's just so superfluous, and it honestly feels like, you know, it's kind of crazy. Like, it feels like it's like a really annoying kid trying to impersonate a Jim Carrey, like, comedian or something, like a rapid-fire comedian or Robin Williams. But it's just like, oh, God, it's like constantly doing, like, impressions and stuff. It's just so fucking annoying. It's just like, he does not need to be here. You don't need this kind of character in Scooby-Doo. Like, it's just, it just gets old. Man, I'm so glad that eventually they killed him. They fucking decapitated Flim Flam, which, you know, was brutal, but at least he wasn't in the show anymore. But Aaron Kelly asks, any thoughts on the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo movie? I did a secret review of it once, but I didn't like it. I might have to re-review it at some point. Well, actually, the Gulag will possibly re-review it at some point, but and also I guess go into 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo the show too. But yeah, it wasn't a great movie. It also retcons a lot of stuff from 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, and also like takes away the supernatural angle. For some reason, all the direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movies all have to have like a guy turn out to be to have the monster turn out to be a guy in a costume. And with the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, it was one of the first things where the monsters were real. So it's so fucked up that they made this new movie just to be like, actually, the monsters weren't real. They were just like a guy in a costume and like, you know, holograms and shit, like just lights and stuff. Like, it's just like, oh man. I guess they're not allowed to have like the monsters be real anymore. I guess it's something they might only save for the movies, like the bigger movies, the live action stuff or the theatrical stuff. Like, otherwise it's just like, oh, if we make the direct-to-video movies have like real monsters, it'll cheapen these bigger movies, but it's whatever. But yeah, Nazlover38 says Vincent Price was the show. Yeah, Vincent Price was definitely the best part of 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, but unfortunately he's just not in it that much. He mostly just talks to them through a crystal ball, and just occasionally, like, fucking pops up as, like, a little special guest that was in disguise or whatever. You know, not great. But I have been getting asked in the chat, will I review the new Velma show? And yeah, that's the plan. I've been watching the show, waiting for it to all be done before I give my final verdict. You know, I ideally like my videos to be, you know, decently comprehensive if they can be. And, you know, it's not going to be comprehensive if I'm reviewing the show based on, like, the first few episodes or just the first episode. Like, even if it's a show I don't like, you know, still gotta watch the whole thing. Nicole L. points out that there has been no Billy Zane tonight. Oh, man, hopefully someone shines the Billy Zane signal in the night sky and we'll finally have him show up, because it isn't really a complete live stream without Billy Zane. Just isn't. And did I miss it? I guess I missed a super chat. Let me see. I missed a super chat from Eddie Chase 11 minutes ago. Damn, I'm sorry, Eddie. Eddie Chase super chatted, unpopular opinion, Gale, not Kirby, should die. I agree with you. I'm hoping they give Kirby a little bit more time as a character, though I think, you know, maybe she should also get killed. It would suck if they, like, brought her back after a movie of absence and an uncertain fate in the fourth movie. They brought her back and they just fucking kill her in the next movie she's in. So, you know, give her a little bit of time first. Though it could be interesting if it turned out she was the killer. Guess we'll see. I mean, that's something, you know, that's an unfortunate issue with all the Scream sequels, is the killers are always characters that have just been introduced within the movie itself. Like, you know, and oftentimes they can also be like background characters, like characters you barely notice, like very minor characters too. So it would be interesting if it was like, okay, we brought back Kirby, she's a legacy character, she was in the fourth movie, she's a killer now. Or like one of the other characters maybe who were in Scream 5, they're the killer. Like, I don't know, it would be like a change of pace, because it's like, Alright, that's a new motherfucker I've never seen before. Chances are he's gonna be the killer. Like, it just... I don't know. Just gotta look very closely at, like, this minor background motherfucker who just was introduced. You know, might just be the killer. This guy seems to be really trying hard to get involved in the lives of these legacy characters. Probably is the killer. I think that might be a safe bet. I think I might want to set my watch on it. So, you know, at least be a change of pace. Let me see. Let me find another question. Okay, let me see. Okay, trying to find a good one. Christian McDermott says, "Hey Doc, what happened to the old Dr. Wolfula mask from 2013 and 2014? Just wondering." Mask? I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but if you're talking about the face, I have replaced my face, but it hasn't. It's been the same. It was the same face, literally. You know, it was the same face I had from 2010 all the way to 2020. Same face that whole time, and it only has been recently that my face has changed. In the live action videos, I should specify. Not these Toon videos. Of course, the Toon videos don't count. The Toon streams, Toon videos. If you're talking about the live action, yeah. So yeah, I guess a lot of people think my appearance, at least the facial appearance, has changed a lot over the years or whatever. It's basically just different kinds of lighting, different kinds of, I guess a different costume makes it look different, and also just, you know, the aging of the face. So, you know, eventually starting to get a little haggard, so I had to, recently, you know, get some work done on my face, updated. But, you know, it's the same basic face, just rejuvenated, though. It's just how it is. Alright, Onibaka has a super chat. Any thoughts on the Scooby-Doo and Supernatural crossover? I've only really seen clips. I saw, like, that one funny clip where it's just like, oh, our life is a lie, where, like, the Scooby-Doo gang is, like, confronted with ghosts and monsters being real, because of course they're fucking real. They were in, like, some movies where they were real. Like, it shouldn't be that crazy, but, you know, it's still funny. They were, like, it was, like, this existential crisis where it's like, oh, yeah, it's not fucking guys in costumes. There are actual monsters. So I saw that, but I never saw the whole thing just because I've never watched much Supernatural. It's just never been my kind of thing. It's a chick show. I don't know what the hell else to say. I don't know, it's a show for chicks. But, you know, maybe I'll watch all 1,000 episodes of that show. It's got, like, more fucking episodes than, like, a fucking anime that's been running for 20 years or something, like... Eventually, I'll have to check it out. Maybe make a video about it. I don't know. We'll see, though. TJ Frizzy asks, any new Wolfula merch coming up? I do need to make some new merch designs for sure. Like, hasn't been, like, any updates to the merch designs in, like, nearly 2 years now, so I do need to come up with some new stuff pretty soon. Need to, like, kind of retire some of the older, kind of jankier designs and, like, get some nice, sleeker, you know, snazzier designs up in the TeePublic store. But if you haven't gotten a bit of merch, you can get, like, a mug or, like, a t-shirt in the TeePublic store, teepublic.com/user/Dr. Wolfula. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, there's a link in the description, too. But, yeah, need to make some new merch, that's for sure. That is for sure. Okay, Nicole L says B-roll doc is still a mood, though. Yeah, you know, it's admittedly something that's been done more recently. All, like, you know, the past, like, the first decade of videos were, me kind of just, reusing the same footage of me and just redubbing it, like, just the same footage for, like, years at a time. Like, alright, this is the New Year's worth of footage, like, just the most half-assed shit. Most half-assed approach to these videos, just because it's like, you know, you can barely tell with the lip sync. Now I make sure anytime I appear in the flesh, it's like I'm actually saying the lines on screen and shit. It's not just redubbed like random footage. Some people don't like that though. So, you know, it is one of those things where it's like technical improvements are just like not necessarily welcome when it's something like what I do, I suppose. It is what it is though. All right. Skull Collapse asked, Doc, do you prefer villains with sympathetic origins or ones that are just evil for the hell of it? To me it works. I mean, it can work in certain situations, having sympathetic villains with horror films. And, you know, it does add certain extra dimension if it's not like a horror movie, but generally, like, horror works best if it's like something you don't quite understand. It's not something, when it's something you don't relate to, when it's something like that has this alien quality to it where you can't relate to a certain level of evil. You know, ideally, you know, I mean, I relate to all the evil on screen for sure, but, you know, generally, if it's something you can't explain, where it's just like, this is just what this guy is like, this is like, he just fucking kills people for the heck of it, or something else, or you're just not quite sure what got this character set on the track they're currently on, like, it always is a little bit, also just a little bit more fascinating, because then you're just like, you can speculate upon, like, what's this fucking villain's deal? Like, why are they like this? You can kind of wonder about it, and, you know, it kind of adds some different levels, too. It's something that doesn't work outside of horror, oftentimes, usually, though, just because people like to know, like, what the fuck a villain's deal is in, like, a more conventional narrative sense, like, you know, they want to be able to make sense of a villain's motivations, otherwise it's just like, well, like, you know, you don't want to have, like, you know, like a Die Hard plot where it's just like the villains are just, like, fucking up the world just for fun. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe that'd be interesting, but I guess just an example. Like, they gotta have, like, some reason why they're doing shit, usually, outside of horror. But, you know, within horror, it's just like, okay, it's kind of like just, you know, it's like the unknown. Xavier to God has a super chat. Of all the elements, which would you want to control? Oh, I was a little confused by that. Out of all the elements, which would I want to control? I guess I would want to control, Krypton, just because, you know, the Superman associations, though I realize you're probably talking about the classical elements, but off the top of my head, I suppose Krypton, if we're going by the, okay, now, if we're going by the periodic table, but no, actually, I guess fire. Fire! Fire! Yeah, I love fire. It's very cool. And, you know, I could probably do a slightly better Beavis impression if, you know, my voice wasn't, you know, just haggard like it is. But, yeah, fire. It's just cool. It lights up. It's pretty. You can burn stuff with it. It's just fucking awesome. It's cool. It's fucking cool. Oh, man. I wish I had some fire right now. I have so much fun right now. Make fireworks with fire. I mean, fire is in the word fireworks. It's just fucking awesome. Love fire. All right. Aaron Lee Glenn asks with a super chat, did you ever watch the Scooby-Doo Project, Doc? Of course I did. I watched it when it aired. Like back in 1999, Halloween on Cartoon Network. It's fucking awesome. It was like, you know, it's one thing to, like, watch, you know, the uploaded clips on YouTube. Like, that's still great. It still works as, like, this fun little short Scooby-Doo film that's, like, a parody of Blair Witch Project. But it was another thing entirely to, like, watch it, like, interspersed within a marathon of Scooby-Doo episodes, especially on Halloween. It was just amazing. It was so fucking cool. Like, just a great experience. And it's something Cartoon Network doesn't do anymore. Though, you know, Cartoon Network does have a new CEO, and apparently he's going to be bringing things back because he was part of that. He was like one of the creators who made like those early bumpers. He also co-created Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. So I have high hopes that he'll bring back that old vibe to Cartoon Network where it felt like like, the cool thing about Cartoon Network was, you know, the cartoons were great, but the stuff between the cartoons, between the commercials, made it feel like the cartoon characters were actually real people. Like, they made that, like, eventually they made, like, the Cartoon Network City, like, bumpers and shit that they had for a few years, but even before that, they were, like, giving this sense that, yeah, Cartoon Network had, like, you know, it was like this company that cartoon characters worked at, like, and just, like, hung out, like, and they did their jobs, they were making the cartoons themselves, like, just, I don't know, it gave it this cool personality that they kind of just eventually abandoned completely, but, you know, I'm hoping they bring that aspect back, because, you know, it's just cool. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, this is so much better than what streaming has, like, to me, like, I don't know, like, the stuff in between, like, the thing you're watching could be really fun, where it's like, oh man, a commercial break, that means I get to see this cool shit. Like, you get to see some cool promos and bumpers and music videos. Like, I don't know, that's stuff you can't really do in streaming. It's just like a continuous episode of a thing. Like, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we'll get back to that. I don't know. Something I would like to see for streaming itself. I mean, that's something, I don't know. It would be nice to see, like, streaming apps have actual, like, something that's like a TV channel aspect, where it's just like, okay, well, I guess Pluto TV does that, where it's kind of like a, you know, a virtual TV, like, you got these virtual TV channels, but with that, it only just shows commercials. I don't know. I guess maybe something where it feels a little more, I guess, robust as far as presentation is concerned, but whatever. Onibaka has a super chat. Have you talked about the Renfield movie or the Grinch horror movie? I'm a little interested in the new Renfield movie. I saw the trailer before Megan. It looks kind of neat, but I was a little disappointed when it looked like it was, like, more of like an action movie kind of thing, like a John Wick thing. I think it's even made by one of the John Wick guys, or the John Wick guy, I don't know. But I don't know, I guess it's not something I'm as interested in now, but, you know, it's kind of neat to see Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, and Nick Cage, two Nicholases, actually, and Nick Cage is fucking Dracula himself. I guess that's kind of neat, but it's not something... It's something that a lot of people are super into, but it's not something that's, like, I'm super interested in, admittedly. But it looks like it'd be a fun movie to watch, though. I'll probably watch it sometime. But the Grinch horror movie, I wanted to review, and I wanted to go in blind, so I haven't even seen the trailer for it. But the movie just wasn't available near me. It's only in theaters, so I guess maybe now, hopefully by now it's on streaming in some form. Or maybe I could just pirate it. I mean, I think I maybe even tried to look at pirating it. It was just like a cam version. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to watch a cam version. Some people are willing to watch cam versions of things, not me. And I don't want to pirate anything anyway. Ideally, I want to, like, pay people for what they do. It's just sometimes they don't make it easy for you to pay them, so you just have to pirate their shit. Sometimes they don't even have, like, the thing available, like, at all, like, on home video or anything, so you just gotta fucking pirate it. Like, you know, for example, Kevin Smith's Dogma, for instance, Harvey Weinstein owns the exclusive rights to it, evidently, so it's not currently in print, it's not streaming, it's not on video. So, like, that's an example of a movie you just have to pirate. Like, you know, sometimes you gotta pirate stuff. It's just, ideally, I want to pay for stuff and own a thing, but sometimes you just gotta pirate. And, you know, if like, you know, if you just want to pirate just for the sake of saving money, you know, that's valid too. But ideally, I got money to spare, so I'll try my best to, you know, pay for shit. Sometimes you just gotta pirate. That's just how it is. It's just how it is. Xavier the God is a super chat. Would you rather have force lightning, choke, or push? Honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like lightning would be kind of fun, but I don't know. I feel like I'd get bored of it after a while, and it's mostly, I don't know. Well, I guess I'd like the version of force choke where you kind of lift them up, like you levitate them too. Whereas it isn't even just like, oh, they're getting choked, where you're also, like, picking them up. So that's kind of cool. I think maybe I'd go with that. I think it would look a little bit more spooky. I don't know. You see something like using Force lightning, and it's not like Emperor Palpatine. It can look kind of goofy, but like fucking levitating a guy and choking him to death, it's kind of badass looking. It's pretty cool. All right. Okay, let me see. Extra Spooky says basically the two channels that broke the barrier of North America was Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Always, you know, I like Nickelodeon, but always a bigger fan of Cartoon Network. I don't know, it felt like they kind of pushed the envelope as far as creating this sense of like a cartoon world surrounding their shows. I don't know, it was just very cool. It was just, you know, it was just a cool aspect. And I felt like Nickelodeon leaned more heavily into like the live action stuff, especially the live action bumpers where you have like fucking hosts like, you know, chatting with kids at fucking Nickelodeon Studios and Universal. Like, you know, that could be fun, but not as fun to me in comparison. All right, let me see. Joe Fierro says, anyone remember that Pulp Fiction cartoon show on Cartoon Network? What was that? I don't know what you're talking about exactly, but I do remember Cartoon Network made like a bumper parodying Pulp Fiction. They had it where it was like, I think Morocco Mole and Shaggy were in a convertible together, like doing like a parody of the fucking conversation that the two hitmen have, Jules and the other guy have, like about you know, they have the metric system, like that kind of shit. I remember that, but I don't know like a Pulp Fiction style cartoon that was on Cartoon Network though. I don't know about that. All right, okay. XGen says, well, I've been asked this a few times already, but yes, I will play Dead Space. I don't know if I'll stream it or review it in any way, but I'll definitely play the new Dead Space remake. But he also asked if I'm going to check out Callisto Protocol. I've heard people say they dislike Callisto Protocol, and I haven't checked it out yet. But I guess maybe I'll give it a shot eventually. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, based on what I've seen, a lot of people got Callisto Protocol, like, saying that the creators of Dead Space, some of the creators of Dead Space worked on it and were expecting it to be Dead Space, and were disappointed that it just wasn't Dead Space. But it seems like, you know, it's still its own thing. It just might have, like, some influence from Dead Space, but, you know, it feels like it's not the end of the world if it's, like, not just the same game you played 15 years ago. I don't know. I feel like, you know, that's just my take, I suppose, at least. But yeah, I guess a lot of people really don't like Callisto Protocol, though. I know, like, I saw, like, the PC port of Callisto Protocol was pretty bad, though. I guess that maybe caused me to hold off on it. But then again, I was also really busy when the game launched anyway. Just didn't have the time to even check out a game like that. Alright. Aaron Kelly says, remember when they aired Goosebumps on Cartoon Network for Halloween? That was cool, even if it wasn't a cartoon. Well, yeah, that was the period of time when essentially, if you're unaware, Aqua Teen Hunger Force ran into controversy when they were promoting their new movie, the 2007 movie. No longer a new movie, but it was new at the time. They were promoting their movie, and they had like these LED light bright boards that had like the Moonanites on them, and they'd put them up randomly in different cities. And in Boston, they thought those were bombs. They thought these Moonanite boards were like bombs, and they got really scared and upset, and they called for the Cartoon Network CEO at the time to step down. And the unfortunate thing about that is the Cartoon Network CEO that replaced that guy called for a whole bunch of live action stuff. So you saw just a lot more live action shows than cartoons getting greenlit at the time. But part of that also led to them licensing the old Goosebumps TV show from the 90s. So you saw that in the mix. So, that was at least a positive thing. Getting to watch some Goosebumps more conveniently for a little while. Eventually, they ended. I mean, it's on Netflix now, the old Goosebumps show, but I think now it's moving to Disney Plus now that Disney's kind of got the rights to Goosebumps. But you know, it's but yeah, that was an interesting time when you saw like a lot of live action stuff on a Cartoon Network. Not the best era, but there were some good aspects about it. There were some good aspects. Mostly bad aspects, though. Oh, God, the channel just went down the tubes. But then they, like, you know, got some better cartoons a few years after and stopped doing the live action stuff as much. So at least there's that. But they never quite recovered, though. And now it's just like Cartoon Network is basically just, well, this is the Teen Titans Go marathon channel. At least anytime I fucking flip it on when I'm at like a hotel trying to kill some time on a vacation. Or it's like, okay, well, not gonna be going to the restaurant until like 5 p.m. So we'll see what's on TV. Anytime I go on TV in a hotel room, it's just like Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network. But you know, anyway. Okay, AJ Benton asks, I love Last of Us 1 and 2, and they've talked about doing a third game. How would you end the story? I was thinking Ellie could find a cure and raise JJ, and Abby could take care of Liv. Oh, that's some spoilers for folks who haven't played. Who I guess, you know, assuming they, I guess if you are watching the show and you haven't played the games, I guess those are some spoilers. I don't really know. I don't know. I feel like I just actually finished playing Last of Us 2 today. I finished the story, and I don't really even see where I guess the story goes with Ellie. I guess the Fireflies could finally reorganize and finally get Ellie, like, and force her to be the cure and shit. Like, eventually people catch on. I guess that's where her story goes, because otherwise I don't really see it going anywhere else, because it felt like, yeah, she really wasted a lot of time on like a revenge trip that didn't quite make a whole lot of sense and didn't really go anywhere. But then it's just like, well, where does she go after that? I guess that's the only direction, unless they decide to just make the next game all about Abby, which, you know, I wouldn't have fun with that myself. But I mean, that's the thing I'm kind of wondering though, is like how soon, or even if they're going to make a Last of Us 3, because they've been like cagey about making a third game. I mean, the games are like very successful to this day, so I'd be surprised if they didn't make another game. But the thing about it is, like, the show is so far a big hit. The Last of Us HBO show, like, so far it's doing really well with people. People are really liking it. And supposedly, I'm honestly surprised by this, but supposedly Season 2 is just going to be an adaptation of the second game story. So I'm just like, well, are they just going to, like... Because what I was thinking is that the second season was going to be like, well, we need to buy some time for the third game to come out so we have, like, more story. So we can tell some stories in between a season before we get to the second game story, adapting that. So we can, like... Instead of having, like, the flashback approach that the second game had to, like, telling all these stories in between, they can kind of develop it more over a season, and then eventually build up to the second game story and have enough time to buy for Naughty Dog to make a third game. Because, like, to me, realistically, if, like, they're going on the same schedule, like, there was a 6-year gap between Last of Us 1 and 2. Actually, no, not even a 6-year gap. There was a 7-year gap. So if they're going by that, the next Last of Us game isn't going to come out until 2027. So, like, I guess if they're adapting the second game already with Season 2, I'm just like, well, what are they going to do next? Are they just going to, like, make it up? I mean, technically the creator of the game, or co-creator of the games, Neil Druckmann, he's, like, involved with the show, so I guess he would know where it would go. But I'm just like, I don't know. But then it would feel like, okay, it would be spoiling the direction the games go. I'm just like, part of me hopes they just kind of, I don't know, like, they kind of come up, like, they kind of reimagine the story at a certain point, and they don't, like, follow the games necessarily one-to-one, especially since, I don't know, the second game story was pretty divisive. I didn't really have any issues with what happened in the second game, the second Last of Us, story-wise. My main issue was just, it was just really slow-paced, and it felt like there were just tons of flashbacks and flashbacks within flashbacks, and it's just like, I just wanted the story to move forward. I was just so fucking tired of, like, another part where I have to, like, go through an abandoned building to get to the next objective, and I'm like, I know where the story's going. I'm just like, I have to get through, like, 5 hours of fucking the same gameplay. Like, it just, I don't know. The first game, the first Last of Us, felt paced perfectly, where it's just like a nice single-player campaign that's really replayable. It's only 15 hours long. You can just, like, get through it after, like, a week or two. Like, just the perfect runtime for a game for me. Like, I'm not a big fan of The Last of Us 2, mainly because it's, like, 25 to 30 hours long. Just way too damn long for a single-player game that's not an RPG. Just, it felt like they only had a certain amount of story, but they were like, okay, we need to, like, stretch it out as much as possible. I don't know, it just got old after a while. I was just like, I wanted it to end. Like, I was just like, just fucking end already. Like, I really just did not have a great time with that second game, but I'm glad it's finally out of the way. Like, I'm glad I finally finished it. Honestly, it, like, the second Last of Us game, like, it peaked very early, because my favorite part of that game was the open world Seattle part, where you get to just explore this downtown Seattle. You get to optionally go into, like, abandoned buildings and shit, like, and just, like, take on objectives in any order you want. That shit was cool. It was the only time they did it the whole game. I was like, oh man, I'm looking forward to more of this for the rest of the game. No, that was the only time they did that. Everything else afterwards was just, like, gigantic corridors, like the first game. Just, like, more massive compared to the first game, but just still corridors at the end of the day, with maybe, like, little side routes where you can get some, you know, bonus resources. But yeah, I don't know. I would hope that they'd really turn things around with a third game, if there's a third game, because I'm still not even totally sure if I'd even buy a third game after, like, the fucking, like, just the slog of getting through that second game. Oh god. I would just hope it's just a little better, but Anyway, this stream isn't really over yet, but I want to take a brief break. So I'm going to let pre-recorded me chat for me and give the shout-outs to my shout-out tier supporters. So I'll let him take over for a few minutes, and then I'll be right back to answer some more questions.
It's that time again for me to give thanks and present my monthly Wolfulayer shout-outs to the top-tier supporters on Patreon and my YouTube channel memberships. Links to all of these folks are in the description. Subscribe to the Steam Lord on YouTube today, a prolific YouTube poop creator who has a new Simpsons Treehouse of Horror collab coming soon. So subscribe and stay tuned for it. Check out and subscribe to Maverick Media, a YouTube review channel with plenty of horror news and breakdowns, which should be right up your alley. Next, I'm gonna have to suggest that you check out Rockland Graves Productions, an up-and-comer in the realm of YouTube horror movie reviews who also produces some great music. I gotta give a shout-out to the Six Squad, a YouTube channel with a unique style and a wide range of horror content, including reviews, music, and so much more. Rooster Montgomery wanted me to plug his Ultimate Ghostbusters 2 playlist on YouTube. It's the most comprehensive list of all material related to Ghostbusters 2, from promos to music videos, behind-the-scenes material, and more. Subscribe and follow the Podmortem podcast for all your horror listening needs. They do weekly discussions of horror films, and their most recent episode covers The Cell. Listen to and follow the Dead and Married podcast, a married couples podcast dedicated to horror, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow Mosh Mania, an Instagram page featuring cosplays of horror icons like Jason and even Michael Myers. Follow Allison G's Instagram page, Creator for Hire, to check out their lovely art. They also do commissions for $5 to $10, and you should also follow them at Twitter at Creator for Hire. Follow the Shape of Evil page on Instagram for horror cosplays and all things Halloween friendly. franchise. Follow Trevor Seance66 on Instagram to witness some fantastic horror memorabilia and also spiders if you're braver than I. Follow Wickaber on Instagram for his reviews of recent and classic horror films, which you can also find on his Letterboxd. Follow Scott Topic on Instagram as well if you want to check out some kick-ass horror memorabilia, including customized Michael Myers masks. Super Shag wanted me to recommend that you follow one of his favorite podcasts, the Chilluminati Podcast, which specializes in the paranormal and history's greatest mysteries. Follow it on Spotify. Sean O'Brien just wanted me to give him a shout out, so thank you, Sean, for all of your long-time support over these many years. It's greatly appreciated. Finally, Billy the Kid, aka Charlie, wanted me to wish him and his family, his wife Brittany, his kids Anna and Chase, a happy and prosperous 2023. Also, Charlie wanted me to tell his son Chase to stop pissing all over the toilet seat. Seriously, cut that out. And here's a full list of my shout-out tier supporters on Patreon and my YouTube channel memberships. Their support is greatly appreciated and helps the channel to continue to thrive and grow through these many years. It wouldn't be possible without all their help. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Remember that links to all these folks are in the description. Support my Patreon to get bonus content, including early access to videos and exclusive weekly bonus movie streams every Sunday. My next stream will be The Shining. Support me at patreon.com/drwolfula today to gain access to this and other upcoming movie streams.
Oh, man. Thank you, pre-recorded me. Gave me a great opportunity to rejuvenate myself. Got some Fresca. Also took a leak. Oh, man, that was great. All right, now I'm back, though. No longer in the pre-recorded zone, but make sure to follow those peeps I just shout out to. Link in the description, like I said before, in the pre-recorded mode. Anyway, let's continue answering questions. Well, let's see. Captain Man says, first time I went to Florida, Doc, I went on some boat and drank a bunch of Fresca. I mean, that's the best aspect of Florida. There's plenty of Fresca available. Like, I feel like, I don't know, more so than a lot of other states, but I think it's mostly just because the Coca-Cola bottling plant is so close. It's like in Georgia, so, you know, you got a lot of access to Fresca. That's for sure. All right, okay, let me see. AJ Benton says a God of War show is also happening, which I'm very curious about because it's skipping the original games. I mean, yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Like, about how successful those last two games were, like, they're, like, even, like, when they're adapting it for a show, they're just like, yeah, let's just focus on the Norse aspect of this franchise, the newer Norse stuff. But admittedly, I didn't get into the God of War games until these last two games, but I really loved the 2018 game, and I fucking loved Ragnarok. Like, that was just such a fucking good game. Like, just amazing. Gotta replay it sometime, but yeah, just a great story beats. Like, definitely a total difference. Like, before playing God of War Ragnarok, I mean, after playing God of War Ragnarok, I played Last of Us 2, and it's just like it's like night and day. It's just like it's, Last of Us 2 was a total slog to get through, but Ragnarok was just so fucking fun. Just so good. Anyway, but it's a shame that they kind of aren't, honestly, I was a little disappointed, though, that the recent God of War games didn't really... They do reference, you know, they do reference Greece a lot and the Roman gods, the Greek gods, but they, you know, they're kind of just a little in the background. I was kind of hoping there'd be like some flashbacks to the Greek aspect of the mythology. I was hoping for something like that at some point in the games. They're just kind of like, they hear like a voice of like a Greek god or whatever very briefly in that 2018 game. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of that stuff, but you know, it's whatever. I guess it's good that it's not just like obligatory fan service, though, you know, because we do see that kind of running rampant where it's like, oh, hey, here's like, so, you know, just something to feel nostalgic about. So it's kind of, I guess, cool that they're kind of mostly just moving forward with the series, where they're not even sticking around with the Norse stuff for too long. They're already apparently going to be moving on to, like, Egyptian mythology or something else with the next wave of games, like just having the characters go to some other realm of existence with different sets of gods, and just kind of like just setting up the idea that there's just kind of like this multiverse of fucking of god pantheons. I'm kind of wondering, though, if eventually a God of War game will come along where it's Christian. It's where Kratos teams up with, like, Jesus or something. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Be interesting if they got to that point. If they built up, they got through all the different religions over the years and eventually got there. Be pretty fucking badass. Like, eventually you, like Jesus gives you his cross and you're, like, fucking impaling people with it. Like, that would be pretty neat. Anyway. Alright, Aaron Lee Glenn has a super chat. Not a question, but I just wanted to say I've grown up with your channel. Oh, that's nice. First watched your Freddy vs. Jason vid when I was 14. I'm now 20. Back when your channel went by Jack Stickman. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, that was an interesting time. That was like that was the email... my Gmail email fucking shit, Jack Stickman. It's like just something that's kind of, just a remnant when this channel was owned by just some fucking high school geek or whatever. It's just something really immature. I was meaning to change the name for a while, but the URL was Jack Stickman, so I was just like, okay, this has got to have synergy. So, like, the name of the channel needs to match up with the URL. Otherwise, it's just going to fuck everything up. But eventually, YouTube introduced custom URLs where you could just set your own URLs separately from your email name. And, I got the Dr. Wolfula custom URL. So I was just like, okay, now the channel could just be called Dr. Wolfula fully. I don't have to, like, be stuck with this legacy name, but it's something. If you're unfamiliar with the earlier years of the channel, it used to go by Jack Stickman, and it's a very goofy name, but is what it is. It sounds like it's the kind of name you expect a like one of those like Flash Stickman animators to have as a channel name. Like, it's just. And I think maybe that was even like the original intention of the channel to do stuff like that, but it was not. It didn't end up being what the channel was. So it was just like not a name that was well suited to what this channel is. So it's, at least for my purposes, it's nice that it's just Dr. Wolfula now, but some people are attached to that old name, and it's technically one of the URLs, It's still, like, in the DNA of this channel. You type in youtube.com/JackStickman, you'll get this channel. And if you type in youtube.com/Dr. Wolfula, you'll also get this channel. So, there's the two options. It can live on in your heart. That's some good Fresca, telepathically drunk. Alright, let me see. The Neon Chimp channel asks, Doc, who would win in a fight between Kong and Bill Cosby? Well, I don't know. I feel like it would be... A lot of people would say, well, it'd be unfair for Bill Cosby to fight Kong at his current height, but I feel like honestly, Bill Cosby could take down Kong even at, like, the height he's at in, like, the fucking Godzilla movies. Like, I don't know. I think, honestly, through sheer ingenuity, through just using a roofie, Bill Cosby can get the upper hand on Kong. He just needs to make a giant roofie and put it in, like, a banana smoothie or something, and he'll, like, beat King Kong by technicality. And, honestly, like, we've seen, like, just, like, a biplane kill King Kong. He just needs to be on top of a giant building. So you get Bill Cosby, you get him a pilot license. He could, like, totally take down King Kong in that context as well. So, you know, there's definitely a, you know, I feel like Kong could ultimately get overwhelmed by Cosby, like, in a lot of different ways. Ultimately, Cosby, you know, he's got the mind of a true mastermind evil villain, so I think, you know, ultimately it's a battle of brains and brawn, and ultimately I feel like brains always wins in the end. Oh, God. Alright, let me see, Captain Man says, "You're the only Jack Stickman I need." I don't really know what that means, but I appreciate it. And you're the only Captain Man I need. In fact, you're the only Captain Man I know about. I don't think I've ever heard of any other Captain Men. But if there were other Captain Men besides you, you'd be the only one in my heart. Anyway. That guy says, "What's worse, Ghost Dad or the 70s Kong remake?" Well, considering I never saw Bill Cosby's comedy ghost movie, Ghost Dad, I guess I'd say that one is worse, because at least I've seen the 70s Kong remake, and honestly, the 70s Kong remake is pretty okay. It's not an amazing remake, but it's pretty well done overall. It's kind of sacrilegious to a certain degree, like having a King Kong that does not have, like, an island of dinosaurs and shit like that. But, you know, other than, like, ditching the more fantastical aspects of King Kong, it's still, like, a reasonably well-done remake, especially for the 70s, especially since it came out, like, during a time when there weren't really any movies like it coming out. Like, it came out, I believe, a year before Star Wars came out, when you just saw a lot more blockbusters. It was kind of like preempting... It was like, it came out between Jaws and Star Wars, so it was kind of like a very early example of, like, the modern blockbuster, like this big event movie you'd see, that, like, in the past would honestly only come along, like, every decade or so, and I guess we're kind of back to that, because, like, now, like, all the quote-unquote blockbusters are typically, like, all superhero-related, so now when you want, like, something that really stands out, that's, like, high budget, that's, like, at an epic scale, like, that's not, like, a superhero thing, you do have to wait, like, a decade every now and then, like, and, you know, every now and then, sometimes it's a King Kong, too, because, like, I don't know, like, rewatching Peter Jackson's King Kong, I'm just like, why don't they make more movies like this, just, like, these cool, big movies, or even something like Avatar, like, it's always just the superhero stuff now, and it's just, like, I'm still surprised that it's still, like, as big as it is, the superhero subgenre. Like, I'm just, like, I'm surprised there aren't more people that... I guess there are a lot of people who are getting sick of these superhero movies, but there's just so many who are still, like, into them to the point where they're like, oh, you know, I'll fucking watch the movie. To the point where it's still just totally sustaining this, subgenre of action film. Like, I don't know, it's just... And it's also, I don't know, I guess also it's just a shame that Peter Jackson isn't making movies like that in general either. Like, you know, he got totally burned out on those Hobbit movies, and he just was just like, okay, I can't make another one of these kind of movies anymore. Now he's just making documentaries about the Beatles and shit, and it's just like, that's fine too, but, you know, it would be cool to see him make, like, some cool movies again, because he could make some cool movies. Like, it's a shame. Like, it's a shame when it's just like, you know, you got a talented director, and they're just, like, not making movies for a decade because, you know, they had, like, maybe something that, like, because those Hobbit movies were fine. And the same thing with Sam Raimi. Spider-Man 3 was honestly fine. It was not as good as Spider-Man 1 and 2, but it was fine. It's such a shame that it's, like, that, like, those kind of movies can, like, haunt an otherwise great director of, like, blockbuster films to the point where they're just not really active anymore for a while. They're just producing movies or doing some other stuff, but not really directing anything. It's such a shame. And, you know, I do also want to see Peter Jackson make another horror movie. Like, I don't know, just do something cool, like, just in general. Same thing with Sam Raimi. I don't care if it's, like, a spectacle movie or a horror movie. Just make another cool movie. And, you know, Doctor Strange doesn't count to me. It definitely didn't count. It had cool moments, but, I don't know. It's not a movie I'd ever rewatch. He needs to make something I guess something that's totally cool. But yeah. Anyway. But yeah, that's something I have been saying a lot more frequently. Like, yeah, that movie's just fine. You know, just fine. You know, it's not bad or good or anything. It's just fine. You know, it's just fine. Just like, you know, you just kind of don't have a strong opinion about it one way or another. Don't want to say I hate it or anything because I don't feel that strongly, but I also just, you know, didn't love it either. But, you know, I guess going on another tangent, something that does annoy me is like, you'll just be like, you'll talk about a movie and just be like, yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was okay. And, like, people very often will interpret that as, like, and get, like, very defensive and be like, well, I thought it was, like, a pretty okay movie, but, like, they'll basically say the same thing, but they'll be like, they'll interpret what you said as, like, criticism or, like, you hated the movie. It's always super annoying, because it's just like, yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. You know, just in the middle. Like, you don't have to get defensive. Oh, well, anyway. Artist SRF asks, what's your take on the Haunted Mansion holiday? Oh, yeah. Actually, I went on that because, you know, I went on it, like, back when I was on the West Coast back in the day. If you're not familiar, Haunted Mansion holiday is when Disneyland, and this is exclusive to Disneyland, they rethemed the Haunted Mansion ride to Nightmare Before Christmas. So they, like, it's basically a lot of the same stuff as there. It's just kind of Christmas themed, but also there's Nightmare Before Christmas characters popping in, like the mayor and Sally and Jack Skellington. They pop in, they sing their songs from the movie and shit. It's pretty cool, you know. And I went on it recently when I visited California Disneyland again. It's like a very cool retheming. I'm glad that it's just at Disneyland in California, because I'm glad you can, like, for the rest of the year, if you go to, like, Orlando, you can just have, like, the pure version of the Haunted Mansion ride and not have, like, just a crazy different theming. Because, like, for the Haunted Mansion holiday at Disneyland, they, like, retheme it for, like, I think 3 or 4 months. There's, like, a few weeks where they have to, like, shut it down, too. So that kind of makes it inconvenient if you're visiting. You want to go on the Haunted Mansion ride, but you want to do, like, the pure version of it at Disneyland, and it's not available, or it's just shut down. Like, you know, that sucks. So it's nice that there's at least a version elsewhere, where it's just always just the classic Haunted Mansion. And, you know, Haunted Mansion is also my favorite. Honestly, I think it's my favorite theme park ride. It's just, like, just a really fun, you know, just this little fun dark ride. You see all these ghosts. There's all these cool details. Like, I don't know. There's not a lot of other haunted house rides like it with the same level of quality available anywhere. Like, you know, Universal Studios doesn't. I mean, the closest thing is the Mummy roller coaster, but it's not really, you know, it's kind of spooky and stuff, but it's more about, like, the thrills and stuff. You know, I would like to see, I don't know, more horror stuff. More horror rides that are always available. Of course, Halloween Horror Nights, you know, they have, like, the fucking houses you go in, but they're not rides. You also have to wait 2 hours to get in them, too. So it's just, I don't know, it's not quite the same experience. But I'm hoping, you know, Universal Studios is supposedly building a third park in Orlando that apparently will have a Universal Monsters section, a Universal Monsters area. So I'm hoping that leads to, like, a dark ride like Haunted Mansion, and maybe a thrill ride just based around, like, you know, the classic monsters. Because, you know, it's just, they need to recognize their legacy, especially since they took out the Universal Monsters Cafe in Orlando. Like, that was such a cool restaurant. Like, that was always my go-to restaurant, at least to hang out at during Halloween Horror Nights, and when I just went to the park in general. Like, just had a great atmosphere, lots of cool decorations and memorabilia, and they took it down, and now they're just gonna replace it with, like, a Minions Cafe. Though, last time I visited, they did still have, like, the Universal Monsters, like, Icy Bar, what do you call them? I guess just Icies, the Slurpee/Icy Bar, they still have that. With, like, the, you know, they have, like, the rotating They have, like, the rotating like, Frankenstein monster and Dracula and Wolfman, like, on top of it. So they still have that, but, you know, it's not the same thing as, like, a full restaurant. It's just basically a juice stand. Not as cool, you know? It's not a thing you can hang out in, and it's just basically just, like, a big sign. Like, you know, it's a cool sign, but it's not the same thing as being able to hang out in a restaurant. But they do also have, like, the Universal Monsters makeup show, but that show is just really cheesy, and it doesn't really, it focuses a lot of attention on, like, it used to focus a lot of attention on the, Van Helsing movie to tie into that movie, and then they, like, rethemed it to having a lot of focus on the Wolfman movie, the Wolfman remake from 2010. It's very, I don't know, like, it feels like a glorified advertisement for a movie that came out, like, 13 years ago now. Like, I don't know. They need to, like, up the ante with their horror stuff for sure, Universal. Like, they need to do a better job with it all. But at least, you know, there's at least some kind of presence, at least. At least there's that. Alright. Okay, let me see. Trying to find another question. A lot of talk about Amazing Spider-Man. I guess maybe because I was talking about Sam Raimi and Spider-Man 3. I'm just gonna say this right away, though. I fucking hated those Amazing Spider-Man movies. Though a lot of people like them, you know. It is what it is, I guess. Never want to rewatch them, though. Like, honestly, it was just... Like, it took me, like, maybe a year or two before I watched Amazing Spider-Man 2, just because even the trailers made it look like shit, and then I watched it, and I was just like, this is just a mess. It's just a mess of different storylines. It makes, like, Spider-Man 3 look, like, totally coherent. Makes it look like, oh yeah, there's very few villains in Spider-Man 3. Like, it's just a fucking clusterfuck. Oh well. But a lot of people like those ones, so, you know, it's whatever. Alright, Captain Man asks, Doc, I don't know if you answered this, but have you watched Terror? Are you talking about the Universal horror film from, like, the 30s, The Terror? I think it was The Terror? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of movies called The Terror. I think maybe there was one in the 60s. Oh, wait, no, yeah, there was one in the 60s called The Terror. I think, I think I streamed that one, too. The Jack Nicholson one, Boris Karloff one, I think. It was kind of like a movie that was just, like, reusing sets from another movie while they were shooting the movie simultaneously. Yeah, I've seen that one, but, you know, I guess there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of movies called Terror, so I don't know for sure if we're talking about the same one. Russell McKenzie says, Cocaine Bear, I can see having a haunted house with that idea, an animatronic big-ass bear jumping out at you. I think there's a possibility Universal, because it is a Universal movie, Cocaine Bear. They might make a house themed on Cocaine Bear, but I feel like maybe they don't have the balls to do that, like to make a actual theme park attraction with associations with cocaine, like in any form. I feel like maybe they won't do that. They could technically, but I feel like they don't want to be like, have like, you know, the kids are entering the park and they see, like, you know, a sign from last night that says Cocaine Bear, and they ask their parents, like, while they're waiting in line for Minions Mayhem, like, Mommy, what's cocaine? Like, I don't know if they want to, like, do that. I feel like they ultimately, I don't know. I feel like they go with theming that, you know, is spooky, but it doesn't necessarily reference drug paraphernalia usually, but, you know. I guess it would be interesting. I'd be down to go through a cocaine attraction, but I don't think Universal would make like an animatronic bear either. They're kind of cheap with the costumes, especially in the houses. They probably just have like a big guy in a bear costume pop out. I think that's basically the extent of the effects work they would do for a house, especially a house that would only stay up for maybe a little over a month. Like, you know, I feel like they're not going to put the money and effort into like a full-on, like, cool animatronic cocaine bear, even if they did do it. I mean, that's that's a kind of thing about Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, is that it's like a staple of the parks, but it's kind of like just this underground thing that they do. Like, it's kind of like the punk rock thing that they do. It's like this thing that's kind of on the edges of what they do. Like, it's kind of like just the Adult Swim to Universal's Cartoon Network. It's just kind of like this thing that doesn't really have the same budget at all. Like, it's kind of like they're making the most out of what they have, for the most part, kind of making these houses with like just within the margins of the park itself. Like, it's just kind of like where the park can continue to run like during the day with like completely uninterrupted. It's gotta be like this thing that just is not a big distraction from the main operations of the park. So, you know, unfortunately that comes with the aspect of like they don't really have a huge budget to like make, like, you know, the folks in charge of like the Halloween Horror Nights, they don't have like a huge budget to like really necessarily fully realize some of the stuff they do. Like, especially since they have to take down all that shit anyway, like, after a month. It's unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is, though. It's cool that it's a thing that exists, though, you know, Halloween Horror Nights, and it's still going. Definitely appreciate it to this day. Looking forward to the next, this year's Halloween Horror Nights, even. Actually, I heard that, Las Vegas is having their own, Halloween Horror Nights kind of adjacent thing, where it's like a permanent Universal Monsters installation. I haven't looked into it in that much detail, but essentially it seems like it's a 24, well, probably a 24/7, but it's like a 365 a day, the year, 365 days a year operating like haunted house attraction, like themed after Universal. So that's a cool thing. It's not just a thing that's limited to just, well, you know, this is, you got Halloween Horror Nights for a month. Hopefully you're able to show up to it. With this, you know, have plenty of time to check it out. So, you know, maybe one day I'll visit Las Vegas just to check out their Universal Monsters attraction or whatever they have there. I'm still not quite sure. They're kind of vague about what it's going to be, but I'll definitely, hopefully check it out someday. I mean, I feel like if I ever went to Las Vegas, I would not even bother with like casinos or gambling or anything. I just check out like the weird attractions they have. I have no interest in gambling. I'll gamble like in like a video game or something. Like I'll play poker in Fallout New Vegas or whatever, but I'm not interested in like fucking wasting my money like on that shit. Like, yeah, you know, I'm fine. But holy shit, Billy Zane is here! Yes! Oh! Finally, I've been holding out this whole stream. Stream has been going on for nearly 3 hours. This is like the longest one of these chat streams have gone on. Just waiting, hoping Billy Zane would grace us with his presence. And here he has. Oh, thank you, Billy. Billy, I love you. You're my favorite actor. And just an overall wonderful human being. Ugh. And Michael Sullivan says Billy Zane deserved an Oscar for Critters. I agree. Honestly, he deserves an Oscar for every one of his performances. I know he wasn't really in a major film this year, but he still should have gotten an Oscar nomination anyway this year. It's such a fucking snub. Billy Zane deserves an Oscar by now, and the fact that he hasn't won one yet, to my knowledge at least, maybe he did. I don't think he did, though. He should have, though. He should have. Especially for playing the Phantom. Like, that was pretty cool. Wore that purple suit and everything. It's fucking awesome. Fucking really, you just looked awesome in that suit. But I'm looking forward to revisiting Billy Zane again when Titanic releases in 4K and 3D. Hell yeah. It's going to be the Valentine's Day event of the year, celebrating the 25th anniversary of that fucking movie. Okay, maybe I'm not going to see it in theater. We'll see. But then again, I might see it for Billy Zane. I don't know. Like, actually, before Avatar 2 came out, I was binging through all of James Cameron's movies, and it's, like, so crazy. It's like watching James Cameron's filmography, because it's like, it starts off just really great, and then it gets better, and then Titanic comes out, and it's just like, okay, all right, and then Avatar comes out, and it's just like, okay, you're just gonna be making these Avatar movies now, huh, Jim? That's all you're gonna be making? Yeah. Okay, well, you know, the movies like Terminator, Terminator 2, Aliens, those were pretty cool. True Lies, that was pretty cool. You're just gonna be making... Oh, you know, the Abyss was pretty cool, too. That was pretty awesome. No, you're just gonna be making these Avatar movies for the next, for the rest of your life. Oh, man. Okay, well, all right. More power to you, Jim. More power to you. And of course, he of course started his career. He kind of peaked with his career, Jim Cameron, with Piranha 2. And I'm calling him Jim Cameron like I know him personally, but he lives next door to me. Like, he's my neighbor, and I talk to him all the time about this. I kind of like, you know, razz him a lot. Like, really, more of those Avatar movies, like fucking Way of Water. What's the next one gonna be called? The Way of the Dirt. Like, what are you fucking doing? You're not even numbering them? Like, come on. What are these Marvel movies now? Like, come on. Just get real. Anyway. But I agree with you, Billy Zane. Billy Zane says Demon Knight was Oscar worthy. It sure was. It damn sure was. I still need to review it. It's definitely in the docket as far as reviews I need to cover. Hopefully, I'll finally get it done soon. But I don't want to, like, jump the gun and do Demon Knight when I don't feel like I'm properly ready to handle a Billy Zane film, because I haven't reviewed a single Billy Zane film yet. I want to make sure I'm, like, in the right headspace to do a Billy Zane film justice, because I don't want to fuck it up, because then it's just up here forever. Just besmirching Billy Zane's legacy and making myself look like a fool. Oh, and Xavier DeGod had a super chat that I missed. He asked it 15 minutes ago, but Spider-Man 3 is better than every Spidey movie after, besides No Way Home or even maybe Into the Spider-Verse. I think Spider-Man 3 is better than all the live-action Spider-Man movies that came out after it. That's for sure. I'm willing to go straight to the grave with that opinion. But I do think Spider-Verse is... honestly, I think Spider-Verse, if we're counting it alongside the live-action movies, it's like the second best Spider-Man movie behind Spider-Man 2. But who knows? Maybe, you know, if the next Spider-Verse movie has like that Spider-Man 2 sequel better than the original thing, then who knows? Maybe that next Spider-Verse will be even better. And it'll be the best Spider-Man movie ever released. So, you know, I'm definitely hoping for that, that's for sure. Definitely looking forward to the next Spider-Verse movie. It's, like, honestly kind of funny. Like, I feel like the live-action movies and the comics currently for Spider-Man, I couldn't give less of a shit about. But Spider-Verse and the PS4/PS5 Spider-Man games, like, just fucking fantastic. Just makes me remember why I was a fan of Spider-Man to begin with. But man, that other stuff lately, I just don't know about it. You know, some people seem to like it though. You know, I guess there's that at least. All right. That guy says you and Billy Zane should review Demon Knight together. Now there's an idea. Let me see if I don't know. I feel like I don't want to reach out to Billy Zane here on YouTube, but maybe I can reach out to him if he has like a cameo page. Probably like $50. Be like, can you give me like some thoughts on Demon Knight? What you thought about Demon Knight, like Billy? Just put that in the video. Something you can't do. You're not allowed to do that. Somebody like Screaming Soup got me like a cameo from a horror celebrity congratulating me for, 100,000 subscribers a couple years back, which was very nice of him. But that celebrity, Screaming Soup posted it on Twitter, and that celebrity was just like, you're not supposed to post that publicly. It's supposed to be just privately. Just chewing him out. And it's just like, dear Lord, calm down. Dear God. It's like, oh my God. It's like, that's part of it. Simmer down. That was just so annoying. It was just like, okay, got congratulated, but also this celebrity is fucking, peripherally angry at me because this was posted publicly on Twitter. It was just, man. I didn't even know the horror celebrity, too. That was the fucked up thing. It was just like, I don't even know who you are. Oh, okay, whatever. That was crazy, though. It was just like, wow, I'm getting into, a Twitter beef, over nothing. Wow, that's crazy. I think I'm seeing a lot of chatting about the various Gremlins clones that came out in the 80s. I may at some point do a video exploring all the different ones. Munchies is pointed out, and of course Critters. Might do that at some point, or it might just make a Critters video and also kind of just go into some of the other different Gremlins clones that came out around that time. Gremlins was like Jaws, where there was just this type of movie that was coming out for a while, where you just had these little guys. You had these little guys like Hobgoblins, which was on Mystery Science Theater 3000 at one point. Just these little guys that are just on the loose, and characters have to stop them and capture them or kill them or whatever. Just this just this little monster genre, just little monsters on the loose for a little while. Kind of like how Jaws had different piranha, but also just different kinds of animals that are deadly killers just on the loose. People have to take them down too, just for a little while. All right. Let me see. Let me find another question. Let's see. Because I'm nearly at 3 hours, so I want to make sure this stream is 3 hours, because I'm already almost there anyway. Might as well keep going, at least to that point. AJ Benton says a Jaws review would be great. I've been meaning to cover all 4 of the Jaws movies at some point. Actually last year, though, it was between a review of Jaws 5, which is an unofficial, Italian Jaws sequel, I think. So it was between that and Ghost Shark, and I ultimately went with Ghost Shark. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I didn't make the right choice, but, it seemed like the good idea at the time. But hopefully this year I'll have the time to just make some videos about all 4 of the Jaws movies. Probably just a short review of the original Jaws, just because, I feel like everything's been said that possibly could be said about that first Jaws movie. But then, maybe some reviews of the sequels, though. Something to make fun of, that's for sure. Those Jaws sequels. Scott Miller says, did you talk about Skinamarink already? I'm planning when it comes out on Shudder to review it. I know it came out in theaters, but I wasn't aware of it at any theater near me, so I just didn't really check it out in that context. But it's coming out on Shudder, so I'll check it out there and make a video about it for sure. Well, not for sure. I guess it'll depend on I watch it and I feel like, hey, yeah, I could say something about this. Because sometimes I do watch some movies and I'm just like, yeah, there isn't really a video here. I don't feel that strongly about it. Just be wasting my time here. I don't feel like there's anything interesting to talk about. So I guess we'll see. Hopefully that's not the case, though. I don't know. I hear Skinamarink is a very divisive horror movie, but, I hear it's at least when I looked it up on Wikipedia was it's divisive in the same way Blair Witch Project is divisive. And I'm I like Blair Witch Project. I from what I hear, it's like an experimental horror movie where it's like something there where it's something that, you know, some people can get behind and a lot of other people can't, you know, like Blair Witch Project. It's like an experiment in like this, you know, found footage genre, but also in like just viral marketing, like that aspect too. And also just like having the extra aspect of you have like an ARG with lore and stuff before that was even like a thing, where you have like the kids are still out there and you gotta figure out what happened to them and shit. Like you have like different theories and shit, and you have like this extensive backstory. Like that was cool. Like, but when you look at it just like as a movie by itself, I can understand a lot of people watching Blair Witch Project being like, yeah, it just sucks. Nothing happens. But also, like, I don't know, I do like Blair Witch Project just as like a movie like The Thing, where, you know, of course, with The Thing, you do have like the cool Rob Bottin fucking transformations and shit. Like, you have like, you know, the effects. But The Thing also just works because, you know, you have these characters, like, unraveling, and I like Blair Witch Project for the same reason. Just, like, watch these characters just fucking going crazy and, like, yelling at each other, and just, like, just go, like, I don't know, it's just a cool aspect to it, but, you know. A lot of people don't like Blair Witch Project, though, and I can understand why. It's just, you know, it's just something with, like, a certain kind of appeal to it. Anyway, let's see. Alright, well, I'm reaching the 3-hour mark, so let's see if I can find one last question to end the night with. One last great question. Unknown Device just asked, Doc, have you ever seen Silver Bullet? No, but I'm familiar with it. I might cover it at some point. No, it's like, I believe it's the Jack Nicholson werewolf movie, at least I think. The Stephen King adaptation. Haven't seen it, though, so can't really say anything about it. That guy asks, well, that guy says, I mentioned earlier, Peter Jackson planned on touching up his old movies and wanting to go back into making horror movies. Would you pick them up if Dead Alive was uncut? Oh, well, yeah, that's something I've heard for a while. It's the same thing with James Cameron, where some of James Cameron's movies just, well, at least I think The Abyss is out of print. But, like, he just hasn't put it... Or also, The Abyss and True Lies are both out of print, for instance. And so is, like, a lot of Peter Jackson's horror stuff, like Dead Alive. And, like, they own the rights to those movies. Peter Jackson and James Cameron... Well, actually, James Cameron doesn't own the rights to those movies, but he owns... Like, he is able to stipulate what happens with the home video situation of his movies. Like, that's part of his contract. So he can, like, hold back movies. That's why, like, the original Avatar, for instance... isn't in 4K, because he has to, like, approve a 4K version himself. Same thing with Peter Jackson, just Peter Jackson owns those movies, and he has to, like, you know, go through his catalog, and supposedly, he's already done some of those movies. He's already, like, touched up some of the movies, but it's a shame that like, they're just not available. I was interested in, like, watching Heavenly Creatures, which is not like a horror movie that he's done, but it's one of his early movies that I've heard good things about, but it's just not available. You can't stream it. You can't buy a DVD that's not like $100. It's just fucked up. It's just like, if you're not making any new movies right now, and you might as well just, like, you know, fix up the movies you had and just put them out already, because people fucking want to watch them. Like, I'm just like, come on. And Carrie Craves Cinema, welcome to Doc's Fan Club. Thank you for supporting the channel memberships. Really appreciate it. But yeah, that's not the question I wanted to end with, but it's definitely something that I feel passionately about. Like, it's always shitty when movies are out of print, because then you have to pirate them. But at the same time, I'm just like, ideally I want to see the movie in the best possible way, especially if I'm watching it the first time. Also with, like, you know, the bells and whistles, like, see the special features, and, you know, it'd be nice if, like, you know, Peter Jackson and James Cameron got off their asses and put out some of their, like, great older movies already. 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, just make them available, please. Also streaming, just, you know, do something with them. Anyway. Dirk Daniels asks, Dr. Wolfula, can you write me a prescription? Huge fan. Well, I can write you a prescription, but, you know, it may or may not be on a napkin. But, you know, I feel like a lot of doctors don't really pay a lot of attention to the prescription slips, so I feel like maybe you'll slide by with it. Yeah. But yeah, I could totally write you a prescription, man. Yeah. Get back to me, and I'm hearing like a siren outside. Damn. The Neon Chimp channel says True Lies is still available in Australia on DVD. Yeah, you know, there's regional things, yeah, for sure, but, I don't live in Australia, and I don't have, like, a player with, like, that region. So, you know, fortunately, you know, it doesn't do anything for me. It's a movie I definitely would like to pick up, though. Want True Lies, and I want The Abyss, but, you know, I haven't even seen The Abyss yet because it's not in print right now. Well, actually, I think you can at least get the DVD, but it's never been released on Blu-ray. I kind of been hearing about, like, James Cameron, like, wanting to, like, he's been working on, like, a new 4K version of The Abyss. So I've been, like, holding off, like, okay, I want to see it the best possible version, but it still hasn't shown up. So I'm just like, I guess at this point I might as well just get the DVD. Alright. Let me see. And Carrie Crave Cinema says, thank you, Wolfula. Love to support, because you keep me entertained. It's great to hear that. Try my best. It's good to know I'm at least successful for some people being entertaining. Can't be successful for everyone, but, Xavier the God says, didn't James Cameron help make Dark Fate? He came up with, like, he co-wrote the screenplay, and he came up with, like, the basic, you know, idea of the plot. I didn't watch Dark Fate until, like, a few months ago, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. I can understand why it was, like, very divisive, but, you know, I thought it was an interesting way to take the series in a new direction, but I wasn't really so into, like, the finale. Like, it just felt like it was very heavily reliant on, like, lots of CGI goop, which just, I don't know, just, like, the great thing about, like, Terminator 2 is, like, it had, like, the CGI aspect to it to make the the fucking main villain Terminator, like, really cool and different, but ultimately, it was all still shot, like, in real places, on real sets, like, with real action scenes, with, like, real trucks, real car chases, like, just real shit. And, you know, Avatar is cool, like, for instance, too, but, you know, it's not as cool, because it's, at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're looking at, like, stuff fully generated within, like, a supercomputer, like, just, like, by some nerds in, like, a dark room, but, you know, it's not the same thing as, like, the pyrotechnics and just, like, all, like, having a whole bunch of real shit. I don't know. But it's, like, it's cool. I guess it's just, like, hybrid animated movies at this point. It's like, you know, it is what it is. It's like fucking watching, like, a high-budget action version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, an Avatar film. Gary Crave Cinema also has a super chat. Well, thank you, Wolfula. Thanks for keeping me entertained. Well, yes. I'll do my best going forward. Do my best. Oh, yeah, and I guess I should also, you know... Well, I'll talk about that again in a bit. Need to find, like, a solid question. Okay, well, actually, alright. Well, Aaron Lee Glenn just says, James Cameron's original idea for Nightmare on Elm Street 6 was very intriguing. I'm not familiar with this, but, I'll have to take your word for it. I wasn't even aware, like, he was even involved with, like, Freddy's Dead at all, so it definitely piqued my interest. But, I do know that, you know, James Cameron... Oh, shit, I touched my mic. James Cameron was involved to certain extents with, he was gonna make, like, a Spider-Man movie with Schwarzenegger as, like, fucking... as Dr. Octopus. That would have been crazy. He was also interested in making a Jurassic Park movie, at least to the extent where he was bidding for the rights to Jurassic Park, but Spielberg outbid him, and, like, he said Spielberg's version was better than whatever he was gonna do, but that would have been interesting to see, different versions, you know, but, yeah, you know, but, you know, he's an Avatar guy now, you know, That's his domain. Honestly, I actually thought about it, and I think my main issue with Avatar is like something that some people love about it, and some people, I guess like me, are just kind of not so into. I'm not really into the designs of the Na'vi. I guess that's the main thing I dislike. I like the fact that they're literally blue cat people. Like, they're like an alien species that has, like, feline characteristics. Like, I guess if they at least didn't have the feline aspects, I maybe would like the Na'vi a little bit better, but it just, like, looks a little too much like, I don't know, like a really fucking weird-looking version of Thundercats. Like, I don't know. I guess that's the one thing I've always just been iffy about. I guess if, like, the Na'vi looked cooler to me specifically, I probably would like Avatar a lot better, but, like, I think that's the one thing that keeps people from liking Avatar. And the thing that some people love about Avatar is just the kind of goofy-looking cat people, you know? All right. Let me see. I need to find a solid question. I'm still holding out for it. But I might have to leave. Having no solid question to end things on. Okay, But Carrie Crave Cinema does say, I just watched I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I haven't seen the sequel. I still been meaning, and I've been talking about this for a while, I've been meaning to review the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I've been holding out because I've been trying to find, like, an original, unaltered copy of the book that I Know What You Did Last Summer is based on. But the ones you find on Amazon that are currently on print or just in bookstores in general are, like, updated with modern references and technology, and I don't want that version, that's for sure. I don't want that. I want, like, how the book was. Okay, I guess this is the question I'll be ending things on. Propane Salesman asks, how would the plot of The Thing change if Mystery Inc. was present? Well, I guess honestly, it would end in total doom and failure, like even more so than what happened with The Thing. Because the Scooby-Doo gang insist on splitting up. Like, they can't just stay in one place. They have to, like, fucking split up, look around, and be separate from each other. And that's how the fucking Thing wins. He gets, like, one of you guys alone, and he fucking assimilates with that guy, and that's how the fucking Thing wins. So yeah, like, just that inherent aspect of the Scooby-Doo gang, like, they're fucked. There's no way they're gonna solve that mystery and survive. Like, they're gonna, like, it's gonna end up being, like, Scooby-Doo, like, I guess it's like, they fucking shoot a flamethrower at Scooby in the opening, and they think, okay, it's fine. Alright, we took care of Scooby. But then, no, guess what? Like, Shaggy was hanging out with Scooby the whole time, so then you have to kill Shaggy. And it's just like, I guess maybe at the end it might be like Fred and Velma left alone, like waiting for the helicopter to show up, hopefully. I don't know. But yeah, that's, I guess, how the Thing would turn out. It would be like just total mayhem. Anyway, I guess that's it. I've been talking for over 3 hours. I feel like that's more than enough. Feel like we've caught up quite a bit, but just a reminder, make sure to subscribe to the Gulag channel. There's a new video that's gonna be going up, a 25-minute review of Addams Family Reunion, like the worst Addams Family movie. Just gonna be making fun of it for a whole video. It's coming out tomorrow morning, or I guess today morning, it depends on your time zone. But Saturday morning, watch it. It's gonna premiere 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time / 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Link in the description, so make sure. And of course, also follow the folks I gave shout-outs to at the middle of this stream. So yeah, make sure to do that. All the links are in the description. You know, support, you know, support Goulash, support me, support all the folks who support me, you know. Everything's groovy. Also, like and subscribe if you like this stream. And, of course, also click the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or videos when they go live. Also, follow me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Wolfula. And, consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/drwolfula. You got early access there, and you can also get shout-outs and bonus private movie night streams and just previews of future videos and, suggestions for videos I can make and polls and stuff like that. So, consider it. Anyway, I've been your host, Dr. Wolfula. I will see you all next time with a new video next week. But in the meantime, watch the Gulag, subscribe, watch that new video tomorrow morning, please. Alright, good night, folks. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed this live stream. Why don't you watch another thing while I have your attention?